July 21st, 2016. Roll call.
Councilmember McConnell,
Here.
Councilmember Davis Quentz,
Present.
and Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Town Council, thank you for your attendance. I'll defer to the attorney. You've got your application in your binder. The applicants are here, and they can speak on what they're trying to achieve. Madam Attorney?
Thank you. This is a public hearing, and just for the record, this is the Planning and Zoning Board meeting set for 5:15 PM. It's 5:19, so we can proceed. As the clerk indicated, we have quorum. This is public hearing for SE 2026-02, Next Academy, 4480 South Tiffany Drive, Mangonia Park, Florida, 33407. Requests a special exception to allow a child learning center and a charter school in the Planned Commerce Center PCC zoning district at 4480 South Tiffany Drive. Property control number 444343052300000220, Central Park lots 22 through 24 and west 112 feet of lot 25, Mangonia Park, Florida 33407. At this time, is the applicant present, or the applicants?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Can you come to the podium for me, please? This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so I need to swear in whoever's going to be speaking. So probably best to do all of you. Raise your right hands for me, and I'll swear in any town staff. Manager Metcalf, if you intend to speak. Thank you. Do you all swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead and stay standing there. I'll turn to the Planning and Zoning Board and ask for any ex parte communications that include site visits for the purpose of looking at the site pursuant to this application that need to be disclosed at this time. Any ex parte disclosures?
None here. No.
Okay, hearing none. The applicants, if you have a presentation, go ahead.
Well, we had sent the plans before. There's no changes to the existing plans. By the way, my name is Sandra Puerta. I am a licensed architect, and I am basically an agent for the owners, along with Brett Foster.
Agent for the owners.
Yeah, agent for
I'm
the
also
owner.
an agent.
Yeah, he's also an agent for the owners. Basically, the location operates right now as a daycare. The kids are creative, and we're asking for a special exception to also allow elementary school, basically charter school, to continue, so those kids can continue in the same environment that they are, and continue their education in the same school. There's going to be no changes to the facilities or the parking lot or anything whatsoever.
Mr. Chair, could I start off with a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so how will this use change from the current operation that's there now? How is this going to change?
Yeah, he can.
Thank you for your time and your question. At this point, with this application, we are not looking to change it over. There might have been a little misconception with the request. What we're looking to do is have an elementary school in addition to the daycare. With that proposal, we're not looking to increase the capacity of the building. We're just simply putting in an elementary education aspect post the 4 and 5-year-olds that are in the daycare currently, so those will have, grades to matriculate into as they stay in that building. They're a little bit under their total capacity right now, so we're looking to expand to upper grades so that they can stay in that building.
Follow up, Mr. Chair, if I may. So what will that do to the total capacity now? So you're anticipating how many students? And it is K through 8, correct?
This would be K through 8, including the daycare aspect of it, so it would be pre-K through 8 technically. We're not looking, I believe the capacity currently is at 276 students. We're not looking to break past that point. So it won't lead to any additional traffic. These kids are still not of driving age. They'll still be dropped off the same as they are for daycare for the elementary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, very good. I'm glad to see that we have the potential of a elementary school in our town. What I want to find out is, you said that you would not need to expand the building in any way, to change the building in any way. So you say you've already got the room accommodations for the grade school levels?
Correct, yes. Now, yes, with this application, we're not looking to do any interior modifications. If we do that in the future, that would be under a separate application. If we, they have a big gathering space right now that's used for outside time activity, like they rent it out for different functions, things like that. That's the only potential I could see in the future that we could use, but again, we're not looking to do that with this application whatsoever, and we're not looking to expand the enrollment of the student population at this time.
Okay, I see the Insignia Next Academy.
Correct,
That's the name for the upper grades?
yes.
Okay. How many students are now in the daycare? And I saw that somewhere you're looking to have between 20 to 100 students in Next Academy. I read that in here somewhere.
That's estimated to be accurate. I mean, we have no way to empirically formulate what's going to happen with those upper grades, but we do realize that the school has restrictions based on the amount of children per classroom, based on their age, things like that. We're not looking to, break the rules on any of that. If there's an open classroom right now that can be used, we understand that, at the lower level grades, it's 18 children per grade, and then it matriculates up to like a 22 student per grade population per room. Sorry if I sidetracked a little bit on your question there, but we're not looking to have like a separate area. Right now, as it would be, it's going to be in a little bit of a separate area of the building, but eventually they might, occupy like 50-50 on the building, something like that, whatever the population demands.
Okay.
Age group.
Are you looking for certified teachers to teach the upper grades?
Right now, well, the two people that are coming in, the Gellerberts, Mr. and Mrs. Gellerbert, they are teachers currently in Palm Beach County. They're going to be heading up Next Academy. It's our intention to keep the staff in place that currently operate the daycare. It may be under different ownership in the future, but we'll still retain that Kids Are Creative aspect of the daycare, as well as the Next Academy operating within the same building, different classrooms. We're not going to be commingling children within the same classroom, but that's the intent here. And again, just not going over that
Okay,
capacity that we've been approved for historically.
I'm just curious because, I grew up at a church school, and I know that there's multiple grades can be taught in one classroom. And that's been done for many, many years. And I just want to know how your plans were for accommodating the curriculum necessities for each grade.
Well, they currently have, go back to your original question, you asked me how many they have currently. I believe they're around the 150, 170 mark on the daycare enrollment. So we have about 100 student differential between what's currently there and what could potentially go in there by virtue of the current approval. As far as teaching different age groups within the same class, I would have to defer to the contract that Next Academy has with the DOE. They're an approved charter contract, and I'm not aware that they have that in their workings where they have different age groups in the same class. That's going a little bit further than my expertise on that, but I don't believe that that's their intention. If the enrollment's lower, per, maybe they'll combine a first and second grade. I don't know. I can't handicap that for this conversation tonight.
Okay, I guess we'll get further details on that then. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'll go next, if you guys don't mind. I just want to ask a few questions. Are you guys accredited?
Meaning the Next Academy, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
approved, they're an approved charter with the district.
Oh,
And as
okay.
you may or may not know, that's a gauntlet that they have to go through to get a charter approval. It took years and years for them to garner that with a lesson plan. They had to go to Tallahassee, get it approved, come back here, get it ratified. They fully vet that once you get a partnership with the county.
Oh, so you guys will be opening and closing at the same time as the school system? Are you year-round?
I believe so. There is flexibility on schedule being a charter. They won't be open year-round. They might have some after aftercare programs, things like that, that might go into the summer. But there's currently that at that building right now with the daycare, and I believe they do have older children there as well, aftercare and in the summertime. So in essence, it really doesn't change the deployment, it's just the educational aspect that's gonna change within the four walls.
She kind of took one of my questions. I was going to ask you guys, were you going to be hiring any people from residents from the town? But you kind of said you're going to keep the staff you have and bring more staff in.
Yes, or reassigning, because right now they're under population. I think they have redundancy in their staff, but either way, they will have to be certified as teachers to teach those elementary grades. And we're currently working with Kids Are Creative to see, you know, who is there right now and who may have the potential and ambition to go forward to do that.
Will you guys have school buses, will pick up and drop off, or
I think
are
the
you going to?
aftercare uses school buses, but that's not, excuse me, that's not in our program to use school buses. Pardon me, shut that off. That's
Okay.
alarm. So no, we don't at this point intend to have to use school buses. Whether or not that is used for some of the aftercare, that will yet to be seen.
Okay, that'd be probably aftercare only. So, okay,
Yes.
I just was curious about a few other things. You kind of answered my questions, because she kind of stole my thunder down there in the end, but it's okay. Mr. Short, you have any questions you want to ask?
The only thing I got is, the zoning. Is the zoning proper for what they're trying to do?
Yes, under a special exception.
But I
That's-
mean,
And that's,
without the special exception,
It can be.
That's correct. To have the use that they're proposing requires them to apply to the town for special exception use approval, which is why they're before you tonight. So it's, the use that they're proposing is not an allowed or permitted use by right. It's, the PCC zoning code says that other uses that are expressly approved by town council that are compatible with the PCC can be approved by special exception. So this is the path that they're traveling under. And if I may, Mr. Chair, while I have the microphone, we got some later comments from the fire department regarding this application. So to the extent that there would be an approval tonight, I would ask for the imposition of 4 conditions. So if you want me to read those into the record right now, I can.
Yes.
The first condition, and I think the applicant was provided with the fire comments, so the first 2 you're going to hear me read are specific
Confirm.
to the fire comments, but the condition 1 is the applicant shall obtain a change of use permit to ensure compliance with both the Florida building codes and the Florida fire protection codes for the operation of a charter school at this location, or for the continued use of daycare along with education in a mixed-use occupancy. Condition 2, the applicant shall provide details on licensing and addressing if this is mixed use with different governing agencies, parentheses, Department of Health and Department of Education, as reporting requirements will need to be matched to the entity and the space in which they are operating. Condition 3, because I have not seen in the backup that was provided, I would request that the Planning and Zoning Board impose a condition that the applicant shall obtain site plan approval for the proposed use to ensure that there is an adequate review of parking, drainage, landscaping, and the other requirements of the town code to make sure that everything that they're proposing to do there is compliant with the town's code. And then condition 4, based on what I just heard, to ensure occupancy, I didn't see anything in your charter agreement that limited the student enrollment. So if your testimony tonight is that there are 170 daycare students, I would request a condition that the charter school be limited to the proposed 106 students so that the occupancy for the building is not exceeded. So those would be the 4 conditions that I would ask the board to consider.
So what's the capacity for the school now?
The testimony was 276.
276.
Oh, that's the capacity.
So that's, yeah, I did have a question based on the finite definition of the 106 charter students or the elementary students. If we have vacillation in the daycare population, would that not prohibit us from going, that condition would prohibit us from going over that 106 if there is capacity available on any given year coming into it based on our enrollment? We would be handicapped by that 106. Yeah.
Do you have a lease with the school currently?
We do, it's being modified because we're basically trying to purchase the building outright. But we do have a lease with them. The way that it's been structured is only for one room or 2 rooms, let's call it, within the building. Because we're looking to acquire the building in its entirety and kind of reset up the allocation of the rooms as they currently are. But that will be something that we also have to work through with the health department to modify the usage of those rooms from daycare to elementary if we do that. But basically, we're looking at puzzle pieces that are same shape with different use, different color, if you will.
Yeah, so what I would say to that question then is if, to go above the 106, you would need to do an amendment basically to this and come back if you want more than 106. You could do that however you want in terms of, the trouble with this application is we didn't have those details. You're at a public hearing now, and we didn't even have details about the number of students that you were proposing. You just said a charter school, so it's difficult, but we can't allow you, the town can't allow you to go over the occupancy limits, and
Yeah, then that's not being asked for sure. I made that clear
yeah,
across
so
the board.
if that condition is imposed, if you need to modify that in the future,
So-
you can come back before this body and request a modification. That's a simple application of the
So it
process.
can't be a very variable
No, because the
use
use that you're
based on
asking
the
for
total.
tonight is for charter school, so that building is built with current occupancy. You're gonna go through the fire department's process and get a change of use.
Yes.
So that may help kind of codify who's doing what in what portions of the building, but to make sure that you don't exceed the occupancy, I've asked the board to limit that to 106 based on the numbers that you've given us tonight. But again, you can modify it in the future should you need to do that.
Okay.
Can we let the record reflect that Mayor
Now-
Alberry is?
Sorry, one more follow-up question if I could. I'm sorry for
said-
interrupting since we're on that subject.
Let's defer to the mayor because he's now
Go
seated,
ahead.
so go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much, and my apologies for the delay. I'm sure a lot of questions have been asked already as it relates to it, but the main question I did have, and that was indeed answered, what was the current occupancy rate? And of course, that's set by the fire department, so we do have it at one, I think it was one.
Yeah, and I apologize, I'm not sure at what point you walked in, but what I was just doing was reading, staff has 4 conditions of approval. Did you hear all those 4, Mr. Mayor, or would you like me to repeat them?
For the most part, so if you can give.
I'm happy to
sort of a
repeat them.
brief. Okay.
Yeah, sure. They're quick. So the conditions that I asked prior to your entry was, condition 1, the applicant shall obtain a change of use permit to ensure compliance with both the Florida building codes and Florida fire protection codes for the operation of a charter school at this location, or for the continued use of daycare along with education in the mixed-use occupancy. That's a fire department condition request. Number 2 also is a request from the fire department. The applicant shall provide details on licensing and addressing if this is mixed use with different governing agencies, parentheses, Department of Health and Department of Education, as reporting requirements will need to be matched to the entity and the space in which they are operating. Conditions 3 and 4 are at my request. 3 is the applicant shall obtain site plan approval for the proposed use to ensure adequate review of parking, occupancy, landscaping, drainage components to ensure they meet the requirements of the town code. And 4, the charter school shall be limited to the proposed 106 students so as not to exceed current occupancy.
Okay. I think so much. So with that, if there is any additional questions or comments at this time. Okay. And forgive me a little hoarse today, my apologies. Any other council comments or questions as it relates to the proposed?
Yes, I do have a concern of the question that I asked about certified teachers for grades 1 through 8 and curriculum alignment, because that's essential. If they're going to be completing a year, they need to be in the curriculum alignment for promotion. And if they have certified teachers that have that curriculum in place, then that's possible. But if it's not in place, it would not be considered compatible
All
for
the-
promotions.
Pardon me. All the teachers that will be employed at the school will be all certified as elementary school teachers as required by the DOE.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
No.
Okay. And my apologies if these questions have already been asked. I did go over the
Not a
application, your application. Now, on page 2 of the app, it states that there's no changes to the building, just requesting additional use.
Correct.
Okay.
There's, at this point, with this application, there's no proposed changes to the building.
Okay, all righty. Because at this point in time, of course, I'm sure the conversation has been already in terms of the actual use, the way it stands now as a daycare center. There is, as we know, that other space that was used as a ballroom or a room.
Correct.
So you're not requesting use of that space at this time?
Well, that would be used in conjunction, but we're not dividing that up into classrooms. It would be used similar to how they use it right now.
Activities and such.
Activities, correct. It's not going to be divided up at this point. I can't guarantee for the future that we won't come back for that, but
Okay.
right now, no.
Okay, so noted for the record. Okay, there was one other question that I did have. Okay, so you're looking to go with K through 8. And you are currently, and again, my apologies for any repeated questions, you currently are an established accredited academy at this point?
Yes, they are, they have a charter that was approved this past year with the Department of Education, and that was a quite lengthy process that they all needed to go through as any other charter to be approved for that, that the vetting process for that is quite extensive.
Okay.
And to get their approval means they had to get their approval, jump through hoops.
Oh, absolutely. Now, if they were just chartered this year, then they don't have the experience of operating an academy at this?
Both the owners, a husband and wife, the Christian and Kristen Gelibert, they will be operating Next Academy. They are both certified teachers and directors for the school, and they are the ones that are undertaking the new endeavor there.
Okay. Have they operated an academy in the past?
They are in the public school system right now,
As administrators?
not
or-
operating their own.
Okay. They're administrators in the public school sector or just
I-
teachers?
I'd have to check on their capacity with that. I don't want to answer yes or no. I believe they have above teacher status or administration, but I can't answer that without a doubt.
And so for this academy, that would be just K through 8, no daycare, just K through 8. is
Well, the
what you're
daycare would exist as the entity that is there now. There might be some modifications as to where they're located within the building to each other, depending on what we get for student enrollment for any given year. We have had conversations with Carlina Dukes of the Health Department, Palm Beach County Health Department, and she has informed me there's no conflict as long as those kids are not in the same rooms with the older grades at the same time. That was they said, as long as you don't commingle them, we don't have a problem with that.
All right. Councilman Davis, you have something?
Yeah, I thought that he had said it was gonna be K through 8, that's kindergarten through 8, and you guys are also considering a daycare. Did I hear you right?
The daycare will still exist as an established. Kids Are Creative and Next Academy will be under the same roof. Different classrooms, but under the same four walls, if you will.
Okay.
Now, when you say that it's going to exist as it is now, we're determining, that would be the actual capacity as it is now? Not necessarily the enrollment, but the capacity?
Correct.
What is that? That's
That's
for
276 for the student capacity, and that is not being proposed to change at this point. I'm sorry? Yeah, well, that's where the 106 came in. Sorry. I've been told that right now they have about 170 children capacity at the daycare, and that's where that 106 came in for the excess space allowance, if you will,
Yeah,
or
that would-
capacity allowance.
Okay, the 106 will reflect the academies?
That's where we'll be capped, as per this hearing, we'll be capped for 106 on a charter capacity. And at no time will we exceed 276 in that building at this point.
Which is the existing,
What's that?
which is the existing allowed capacity.
Correct.
Okay. And generally, daycares, of course, are a feeder into the sort of
That's
circulating
exactly
into
what's
and-
bringing this forward, is that we have, we have families in that school, in the daycare, I should say, that are looking forward to this to keep, sometimes it's sibling situations, they get to stay under the same roof, through their elementary education as well.
Okay. I'm sure you've done your due diligence, so to this question might be rhetorical, in that, so you would have the 170 daycare, 106, and of course, the space allocation is a little different for daycare students as opposed to students in K through 8. That's been examined and
Yes, and that is also strictly governed by the health department. If that room, per se, let's just say we have rooms A, B, and C. If we say to the health department, A and B are going to be daycare, and C is going to be elementary, they hold you to that. You can't start flip-flopping rooms. If it's on their ledger, I forgot the name of the sheet, pardon me, they have an official sheet, has to have room labels, square footage, and its use. And that's, that's in stone, unless you go back to them and say, hey, we're gonna change use of this, and you gotta go through their whole hearing and process.
right, no, certainly. So then your ask today would be, as it relates to the academy, to have an enrollment up to 106 students, would be the ask?
Yes. That being a derivative of the total capacity, and, that's something that we're agreeing to today. We'll have to, which the town council has determined that in order to change that, if we want to fluctuate that 106, so if we get less daycare kids and we want to go over the 106, we'd have to come back before this board to modify that, or at least come back to the town to request a modification to that
Also,
ratio,
okay.
if you would.
The last part of that clarified it, so thanks. I was going to say, you got it. Okay, great. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Because that 106 plus that 107 would put you at full capacity. Those two combined, because you say it's like 170 there now. Correct?
Yes.
And if you add those two together, it's gonna put you exactly at 276, which is your capacity.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question? So, and you may have covered this already, my apologies if I didn't hear it or wasn't paying close enough attention. You're trying to start with this school year?
There is a delay. We may be starting in January at this point.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a scramble. We still have about a month
Okay.
where we can utilize. There's a room that I've been talking with the health department, not to get into the minutia of it, but you did ask the question. There's a room that's kind of like bifurcated near that multipurpose room where they're having the events, and it is a classroom. And they don't
Okay.
use it during the day, so we are currently talking with the health department about releasing that from the daycare list of used rooms to allow it to be used for elementary.
But January is your targeted date?
It could happen sooner, but now we've been briefed that we need site plan approval for
Right.
this whole thing, not just
Correct.
the special exception to allow the use, even though it's an operating facility. That kind of blindsided me a little bit at this meeting, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it's looking like that we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that, unless there's
Well,
any alleviation from a full-on site plan application and something that's functioning.
Yeah, I think
Essentially
based
the
on
same way.
the comments from the fire department, that sort of,
Well, that for sure. We can't sidestep that. We're just not anticipating the site plan application requirement, being that it's a functioning.
we will move it along quickly.
I
Or
appreciate
as
it.
quickly as we can.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much. Any other
No,
comments
sir.
from staff? Okay. We'll see if there's any other comments or questions from
No, thank you for
council.
your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
All set.
Right, if there's no other questions and comments. Council?
Sufficient.
Okay. Right, of course, this is a public hearing, so we'll open the floor to public comment if there's any comment from the public. And just as information, we may have individuals who may be with us online, and we allow about a 20, 30-second delay for that.
No one online, sir?
Thank you so much. So with that, if there's no other questions or comments, anything else from the applicant?
Not at this point. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. All right, so with that, if there's no other questions or comments, we've had full discussion as it relates to this, and of course, this is our first hearing for this. So if there's none, then what is your pleasure as it relates to special exception, SC 202-6 for Next Academy at 4480 South Tiffany Drive here in Mangonia Park?
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we approve the request, provided the conditions that have been stated, the 4 conditions that have been stated are met.
Thank you so much. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, and for the record, the applicant did receive those 4 conditions and is agreeable to those 4 conditions.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so noted for the record. So with that, if there's no additional questions or comments, roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quince.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell.
Yes.
And Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you, and you'll be speaking with the town manager going forward on some
Indeed.
things.
Look forward to being close neighbors.
Okay,
Right down the
absolutely.
street.
Well, thanks so much. You have a great one.
Thank you for coming.
Good day.
So with that, I think that that is the only matter before us for the Planning and Zoning Board. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
It has been moved. Is there a second? Has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. We're going to just hang tight. We're going to get started in just a moment on another item.
LPA.
Excuse me, so horse. No. No, I've been speaking all week. Two. Speak twice. I had. No, 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 it was just all of the, good afternoon, how are you doing? Okay. Okay, so we'll go to the, thank you so much. We're all set and ready. At this time, we're going to call the Town of Mangonia Park Town Council, I'm sorry, my apologies, the Town of Mangonia Park Local Planning Agency meeting, the LPA, into session at this time. Roll call.
Mayor Alberry.
Here.
Councilmember Davis Quince.
Present.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
And Councilmember McConnell.
Here.
Thank you so much. We do have a quorum at this time. We're going to go right into, we have some technical difficulties. Right, we're going to go to our attorney. Just notice that we're just trying to get to our place on the screen, but go right ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Manager Metcalf and I gave you sort of a precursor to this a couple of meetings ago, that some ordinances were going to be coming before you. Tonight is your lucky night. 4 of them are here, so I will kind of buzz through them and stop and answer any questions as we go. The first one is ordinance 2026-02. I don't need to read it by title. This is the ordinance that we talked about that has to do with artificial turf. Last legislative session, not the one that just ended, but last year, the state preempted the town from prohibiting artificial turf in single-family residences of 1 acre or less. So what this ordinance does, and in that legislation, it said that those properties, single-family of 1 acre or less, would be subject to FDEP, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, regulations that would be established for artificial turf. So FDEP went through that rulemaking process. It took quite some time, almost a little bit more than a year, actually. Those rules were finalized on May 19th of this year, so that was a trigger for us to bring the ordinance to you. On the ordinance draft that you have, you'll see that we have preserved the regulation only to the extent that we can as it relates to single-family properties of 1 acre or less. The only thing that the law now allows us to regulate is use and location, so we can limit artificial turf to yard areas that are owned in fee simple by the property owner. So that means not in any easements or right-of-ways. So we've preserved that allowance under the law. We can also impose some permeability restrictions and a restriction that if artificial turf is put somewhere where there used to be grass that was irrigated with an irrigation system, that the irrigation system be removed, capped and removed. So we've preserved where we can still regulate those properties. For all other properties in town that are not single-family of 1 acre or less, your current code would remain in effect. So there would not be an allowance for artificial turf on those properties. That's your current code. So again, this is bringing your ordinance into compliance with state law. We're required to do it. We're preempted. So with that, I'll stop there and answer any questions that you have on that ordinance.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to the proposed ordinance number 2026-02? Any council comments or questions? Okay. Hearing none. Okay, anything from staff?
No, sir.
Okay, and of course, as stated by the attorney, this is something that has come before us, so maybe we've had full discussion already, and there's no questions or comments, just for the record. So if there's no questions or comments, what we'll do at this point in time, we'll have our motion, please.
And Mr. Mayor,
I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry, my
before-
apologies.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, so at this time, we're going to open the floor to any public comment we may have. And again, for the record, we do allow for the 20-second or so delay for those who may be online.
Nothing online, sir.
Thank you so much. We're now back at the dais. Now, are there any questions or comments before we call the roll? Hearing none. Roll call, please. I'm sorry, what is your pleasure? Is there a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we approve ordinance 2026-02 as formally stated.
Okay. Motion has been made to approve ordinance number 2026-02 for first reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded by McConnell. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quince,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
and Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
The recommendation passes.
Thank you so much. Our next item is ordinance number 2026-03. We'll go to our attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is one that you have seen before. This is a very minor edit to your code to deal with issues in the town where over the last probably at least a year at this point, there have been some significant impacts from trees that are in easements, typically in the rear yards, trees that were planted decades ago at this point that have gotten very large and are impacting the town's utilities. So the change to this ordinance is to add a section that prohibits the planting of easements in utility and drainage easements, excuse me, the planting of trees in utility and drainage easements. This would apply going forward, so should this be adopted by town council after second reading, this would prohibit anyone in the future from planting trees in the easements. There would be no retroactive requirement for people with current trees in the easements to do anything. There was a previous version that you saw several months ago that dealt with that. This is not that. This is strictly prohibiting the future planting of trees and requiring that anything that's planted in utility or drainage easements be herbaceous, bush-type material instead of trees to prohibit the interference with the town's utilities. So I'll stop there and answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments for the attorney?
I had spoke to her already about sending out letters to let the residents know that they are not supposed to plant trees, and also that they need to know like how much of the easement does not belong to them. Some people don't know there's so many feet. We should send out emails and whatever we need to do to notify. Some people really don't even understand the easement. Let them know that it does belong to the town. They have the right to come go in the easement at any time if need be in order to fix plumbing problems or whatever the conditions are. So I had mentioned that to Mr. Metcalf.
We'll get out some public information. We'll make sure everyone's informed.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Johnson, you have something? Okay. All righty. So you do have the ordinance before you. I know we had spoke also about the fact that quite oftentimes we're called to be the arbitrator as it relates to current trees, issues that arise from those trees that are there. And I would imagine that there's a grandfather clause for those trees that are old enough to be grandfathers.
Great grant.
Yeah, I wish that there was something we could do with that, but the current ordinance is before us as it relates to going forward. So if there's no other questions or comments from council? Okay, it is a public meeting, so we'll now open the floor to any public comment that might be regarding the ordinance.
None.
Thank you so much. We'll close the floor to public comment. We're back now to the dais. If there's any questions or comments.
No.
Hearing none. Motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, so moved that we approve ordinance 2026-3 as it has been noted.
The motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions on the motion?
No.
Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quince.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah.
Councilmember McConnell.
Yes.
And Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
The recommendation passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. And our third and last ordinance for tonight is ordinance number 2026-04. We'll now go again to our attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the third of four that are before you tonight. This one deals with fencing in the residential zoning districts, RE and R1. This came to be as a result of concerns from law enforcement, public safety concerns. There have been some instances where, particularly on corner lots, fences are put forward of the front building line and create almost like a castle, if you will, around the property, so that anybody who is trying to go to the property has no visual into the property. So it was brought to us as a concern for emergency response primarily. So what this ordinance does is it requires fencing to be not forward in the front yard, not forward of the forward front building line, which is defined in your code, so the front basically wall of the building. And then it also requires that fencing to be able to be seen through. So there's a opaqueness requirement or restriction so that there's a visibility there that can be maintained. There's also a requirement for a visibility triangle. So on corner lots, that's particularly important. So if you're coming out of a street, you can see around the corner and there's not a complete impediment to the traffic or pedestrians who may be walking there. So and also there's some language in here that deals with the material of fencing, prohibiting barbed wire, prohibiting materials that create basically fences that can't be seen through. So metal slats are sometimes put in the chain link fences. Sometimes metal panels are put up on the fences. So there's some language to that effect as well. Again, to try to ensure that anybody responding to residential properties in town, that public safety is maintained for those who have to respond to those locations. So I'll stop there and answer any questions that the LPA has at this time.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to the proposed ordinance? Councilman.
Yes, I do have a question. Residents that already have fences that exceed this limit, how are we to operate or uphold this ordinance?
Great question, Mr. Mayor. Can I answer?
Yes.
I failed to mention that on page 13 of the ordinance, there's a section dedicated to non-conforming fences. So to your example, those are fences that are currently existing. So what this proposed language, and this is very common already in your code for other things, but it requires those non-conforming fences to be brought up to code if they have to be replaced to a level that is 50% of the structure's original cost. So if it gets damaged or rots and has to be repaired, if they hit that 50% threshold, they have to bring the fence up to the current code. So that's the way we capture those. Basically, as they're phased out in terms of their useful life, they'd be required to be brought up to code.
Okay. So the owners to do that if they're dilapidated, but
If they're to a level where they have to be repaired and that 50% threshold is triggered, yes.
I see. Okay.
Any other questions, Councilwoman Johnson?
That's all.
Okay. Any other council comments or questions?
Yes, question. Ms. Smitty. My question is, if the residents have dogs and they have a fence that you said it has to be seen through, correct?
In the front yard,
Oh,
the
in the
rear
front
and
of
the
yard.
side.
Okay,
right, just
okay.
where
I
this-
called it front yard. That's what I
Yep, this
missed.
allows them to still have fences that can't be seen through on the side and rear yards, just
Okay.
not in the front, so that
Okay.
law enforcement can see what they're.
Okay,
they're
all is well. Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay. And of course, as stated by the attorney, this is a situation that was brought to us out of concern for law enforcement and first responders, having the ability to go in with some degree of safety and not so much concern. So with that, if there's no other questions or comments by council, we'll now open the floor to any public comment regarding the proposed ordinance.
Nothing online.
Okay, and none from the audience here. So with that, we're going to close the floor to public comment. We're back to the dais to see if there's any other final questions or comments by council.
No.
Okay, hearing none. Motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, so move that we approve ordinance 2026-04 as it has been properly noted.
Okay, motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 2026-04. Are there any questions on the motion?
Oh.
Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Pines,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
and Mayor Alberta.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Our fourth and final is ordinance number 2026-05. Again, we go to our attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, this is 2026-05. This is what we discussed previously, having to do with occupancy restrictions in single-family dwellings. What has come to light over the last couple of months at least is some instances where essentially rooming houses or boarding houses are being created, where there are a lot of people living in residential structures who are not related to each other, who are renting rooms, for example, or more than one room. And so you're having instances where that creates a significant issue from a parking perspective and from an occupancy perspective, even from a safety perspective in terms of where people, how people can get out from rooms that they're renting. So as you all know, in a single family dwelling, there's usually a front door and a back door. There's fire department requirements for ingress and egress. When people are renting rooms, there may not be an exterior door to that room. So this ordinance is to address, again, some safety concerns as it relates to occupancy exceedances that are being over and above what normal single-family zoning captures. So this addresses room height requirements for each room. It also addresses square footage requirements per occupant, sleeping rooms, bathroom requirements to ensure that if there are more than, the number of people living there are adequate restroom facilities for folks. It deals with parking requirements and prohibits for single-family dwellings that parking be on paved surfaces, not in yards, not in required yards, and not in the town's right-of-way or streets. And it allows for violation of the ordinance through the town's code enforcement process. So again, borne by some safety concerns and some instances that have already come to exist in the town. So we're trying to address sort of changing dynamics. So with that, I'll stop and answer any questions that the LPA has.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from council?
Excuse me, can you tell me what incident caused this to come about?
I don't even recall, I don't know if that I ever knew the address, but I wouldn't want to put that on the record anyway. But it was a single family where there were 10 or 12 people, 10 or 12 cars in the front yard, all stacked one in front of the other right up to the house. Lots of people coming and going, and it was apparent that people were just coming to the house after work, sleeping, and then leaving in the morning. So, but way more than the intended occupancy of a single family dwelling.
You did make reference to non-related individuals. I was trying to see that wording in this ordinance. I just want to make sure that's clear.
It's not in this ordinance. It's in the town code as it relates to the definition of family already. This deals more with occupancy of those unrelated folks, so that language is not there, but it covers those instances where people are not a family unit living in one dwelling.
Okay, thank you.
Other council comments or questions? Okay. Hearing none. Okay. And for the record, we've had full discussion prior regarding this and our concern as it relates to this type of incident happening within the town. And so this, of course, as their attorney stated, is an attempt to deal with that matter. So if there is no other questions or comments by council, we'll now open the floor for public comment to see if there's any comment from the public. And again, for those in the audience, we do have persons who may be online, so we allow for about a 20-second delay for that.
None online.
Thank you so much. Any comments from the floor? Okay, hearing none. we'll close the floor to public comment. We're back
Need
down to
to-
the dais.
Need to ask a question.
Go right ahead.
You was talking about, I mean, I understand that if you have 12 people and you have 15 cars, but I'm talking about a regular resident. In other words, if I want to park my car on my grass, I'm going to park it on my grass. Like I said, I can understand, you know, somebody's renting out and they got 15 cars. But, you know, I might want to wash my truck, so I do it on the grass, takes care of that, and it waters the grass. But I mean,
right.
to get fined for parking your vehicle on your grass, I think is ridiculous. Is that what this is saying?
So
Or
this,
am I understanding it wrong?
this ordinance says all vehicles must be located within the required parking spaces. It shall be unlawful for any person to park any vehicle on unimproved property or in any required yard. It shall be unlawful for any person to park, keep, or maintain any vehicle upon the streets, town property, or any public rights-of-way. So yes, this would prohibit parking on not intended parking spaces in a single-family residential house.
Other questions?
So who is designating parking spaces? I mean, usually a, you know, single-family house has a driveway, that's it.
So that's what this language is. It says that the vehicles must be located within the required parking spaces. So in that example, that would be on the driveway.
Let me ask you a question. I don't have a paved driveway. Mine is dirt and I park my truck on it. So are you saying that I'm gonna get cited because I parked my truck where I've been parking it for 40 years?
No, I would say that if you have a paved or unpaved or gravel driveway, that would be grandfathered in. Just because it's not paved, you're fine. If that's where your parking is and it's clear that that's a designated parking area for your house, that would be fine.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay, Councilman Davis.
I'm over here kind of baffled because some residents have I always say this, a lot of children, a lot of family. And you can't really say, because you're not family, you can't park or stay overnight. I mean, I can have a friend girl over and she can stay a whole month or something. Like, let me use myself. I have children and they're in college and they go and come, like one will be coming home soon and she's gonna stay for a couple of months. And trust me, my yard stays full of cars. So this is kind of hard for me to agree to this. I know it's for safety on one hand, but on the other hand, sometimes you might have to use your grass in order to stay off the highway or stay out of the road. So it's kind of catch-22 because like most yards only have, like say, 2 parking spaces or curved driveways. You put 1 or 2 or 3 cars, driveway spaces gone, that puts you on the road because now I can't park on the grass. No, it's not okay to park on the grass, but sometimes you have to. It's like an overflow. The grass is like your overflow. So this one is going to be kind of hard for me because most of my neighbors have a lot of children. Matter of fact, my whole block has a lot of children, whether they're grown or not. And most of them use the grass because that's how you keep the cars out the road. So this is a hard one for me. But anyway, we'll keep moving and make a decision.
Okay. Other council comments or questions? Okay. Just 2 things. Keep in mind too, and I think we all know this, but just for the record, that any allowance for parking, if there's some exceptions, that parking can be done on the grass or outside of the driveway, those decisions happen here. And so when we make a decision as a legislative body, then we're all bound at that point in time to adhere to them. Any violations by anyone of any ordinance, code that exists on our books is subject to violations and citations. And that applies to all persons within the town and their visitors. The second thing is that keep in mind too that any decision that we make here as a legislative body, we should always do it, number one, with a focus on the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. And if indeed if we're making decisions based upon that, not based upon, again, you hear me say all the time, the heart, because the heart has to be driven to the fact that we make sure that we keep people safe. The previous ordinances sort of goes hand in hand. It can be a companion document if you really consider it. Is that when you have, for instance, like the situation that brought the previous ordinance, there was individuals being parking because when they had individuals either living there or visiting quite often and frequently and so forth, they were parking all the way up to the door. And so if they had a situation where the back door was jammed, they could not get out if they couldn't find their keys. And so for me, considering that, that's a safety issue. And if indeed I'm going to be true to our calling as elected officials, that was a good passage, right? Because we've made sure that in as much as it may not be tasteful to some, our consideration first and foremost is the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. So with that, that's my comment for the record. We'll see if there's any other comment from council, and then we'll go out to the floor.
Yeah, my comment is that was one house, and everybody shouldn't have to be subject to the same thing due to the fact that that was just that incident at that house. I really don't understand us trying to tell people that you can't have so many people over. People have parties. I have a neighbor that has 18 siblings, 7 children, and the yard is always full. And they don't live there. It's just a lot of people. And so I'm not going on the heart. I'm going on the fact that I'm a human, and I know that I wouldn't want you to regulate if I could park on my grass or not. And so that one house should be maybe be cited for the over parking, but everybody shouldn't have to suffer for that.
Right. And to your point, the only way that that one house could have been cited is if we had an ordinance prohibiting it. Right. And the one thing you can't do is set an ordinance that says that address.
I understand that.
Right. And so you have to have something that generally applies throughout the town. And then when it's violated by anyone, then that particular one house then becomes subject to citation, as was the case for that house. But again, our decisions are not to prohibit. It is to ensure, again, that people are safe. And so that would always guide my decisions, that our residents are safe.
I believe in safety.
Right. And also keep in mind, too, for the last 10 seconds I'll take, keep in mind, too, that when a precedent is set, right, when something is allowed, and I always get this wrong, Airbnbs, what are they called, the houses that crop up and people rent them? So help me out. Airbnbs, there we go. Right, so when they happen, which has happened here in the town, and they happen in all over the place, if indeed the legislative body does nothing about it, then what happens is that others, okay, all right, then I'll do it, right? And so you always have to make a general policy that says you can't do this. And unfortunately, some people are what they would consider harmed by it, but you have to stop the proliferation of things from happening. And that previous ordinance allowed us to be able to do that as it relates to all of those cars being parked in a yard, wherever that yard might be. Okay. And similarly, what we're trying to do here is the very same thing.
But Airbnb should be a totally different.
No, that was an example.
Yeah, but I know Airbnb shouldn't be considered with the residents due to the fact that people are always coming and going in Airbnbs.
Okay, right, but that was an example of how the proliferation of things happen when you
understand.
don't address them. Okay, so with that, if there's any other questions or comments?
I just want to get understanding of section 6-245G, communal space.
That means, Mr. Mayor, if I may respond, that means that you can't have people sleeping in what are living rooms, what are supposed to be communal spaces. So the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, you can't put beds there and have people living in those spaces.
Okay. And then back up on D section, it says that the minimum sleeping square room footage, every sleeping room shall contain at least 96 square feet of floor area exclusive of closet, bathroom, and every sleeping room occupied by more than one person shall contain at least 50 square feet of floor area. Now, This means we gotta measure off all of our rooms and making sure they're at least 96 square feet?
It means when the town is processing business tax receipt applications and single-family dwellings are being rented out, that will be a check that's done as part of the BTR inspection to ensure that when rooms are being rented to tenants, that they meet these requirements per square footage. Because what we are seeing is that people in a single-family house will divide what was the original one-bedroom, put up a wall in the middle, or put up two walls in the middle, and put doors and put beds there, and create what amounts to 3 rooms instead of 1. So we're trying again to create minimum living space allowances so that they're actually rooms and not boarding houses.
Okay, so if it's a segmented space, not, like you said, a combined occupancy where walls were just subsequently put up.
Right, and that will be checked. The way for the town to inspect that is through the BTR process. So single-family homeowners who live in their homes are not going to have to measure their rooms and ensure compliance. This is intended for people who are renting out spaces.
I just want to make sure I understand that. Thank you.
Ready? Other questions or comments from council?
I think we should make this for people that are just renting out rooms. I think that's what this should be done for people that are renting out rooms. And they should have to pay a fee every year and let the town know that they're renting out rooms. I don't think everybody should be subject to the same thing.
Alrighty.
So the difficulty with trying to bifurcate owned rather than rented is the town, it's very difficult for the town to gain evidence about who's renting. That's not publicly available information.
I know.
So that's why ordinances are typically drafted this way. It applies to all the type of residential structure because there's no way for the town to know.
So Riviera Beach, they been doing this for years. They have a application you fill out, you pay $80. Someone come out and inspect the house if you're renting out rooms. That would be the way to do it. The residents that are not renting out rooms shouldn't be subject to this. It's just my take on it.
Right. Now, keep in mind, too, that we have a BTR process as well. For persons who rent, they are required to come into the town and apply so that we know. I think what the attorney was alluding to is that a lot of times people will rent and not let us know.
Of
that there's
course.
a- Right, so that happens.
That's when the code enforcer does his job and find out.
It's kind of hard to find out, to your point, right, unless it becomes known through some other method. Okay. Just a question. Now, let's just say that when a house is built, is there, as part of the whole approval process, prior to a CO being issued, is there a capacity requirement at that time?
Yeah, the building official reviews, single-family homes don't come through the development review process in this town. They go for review from the building official, but yes, that is part of the review that he does in terms of occupancy under the Florida Building Code.
Right. And so then the person to whom the owner of the house, once they get the CO, they can move in. It's already known up front that the capacity for that particular dwelling is X amount. Okay. So that's already built into the process. Okay.
I'm talking about the parking. It's okay. We'll go ahead, keep moving.
Okay.
So
Any other-
on a normal house, what would the capacity rate be?
I'll go to the attorney, but generally it's reflected in the very language that we have in the document, that if it's a 3-bedroom, then of course there's, the fire department for the most part would be involved. And so we don't go out and measure with a tape measure and anything else. That's done during that whole process. That this is a 10 by 11 room and so forth, and how much spaces should be allocated for 2 people to be in there, 3 people, whatever the case may be. But I'll go to the attorney.
Yeah, and I'm not a building official or a fire inspector, so don't quote me on the technical stuff, but the fire department is checking ingress, egress, and also how many bedrooms, therefore how many occupants should be per bedroom. The building official is doing the same thing because there are requirements in the building code for things like bathroom facilities per occupant. So that's the checks that are being done for the technical compliance with the technical codes, which do mandate certain things depending on how many rooms, how many occupants are intended to be in a given dwelling.
Okay.
Now, I know when you go in restaurants, public places, it's usually posted. but I've never been to a private home where occupancy is posted.
It's not posted.
It just don't,
It's in the approvals when the house
it
is
just
built.
don't make sense.
But it's in a recorded document here?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, other questions or comments by council?
No.
The parking, we'll go back to the parking.
That's,
Now, is this parking going to apply to,
I'm sorry,
There's no
just for
parking.
clarity, you want to go back to the previous ordinance, or?
the part on the parking?
Okay.
Okay,
would
that
it-
was in the other ordinance,
Correct. So if it's okay, we attend to this one, then we'll go back, if that's
Okay.
okay. Okay. All right, is there any other questions as it relates to the proposed ordinance 2026-05? Any other questions or comments? And then we'll go back. Okay, and we have had public comment. I did see someone out there who may want to have a comment, so if it's the pleasure of the council to reopen the floor for public comment, we'll do that. We have consensus for that?
Yes.
Okay, all righty, so at this time, we'll reopen the floor. I think there's someone who may want to have a comment as it related to this proposed ordinance. Okay, okay, if not, then we'll close the floor. Righty, so we're back now to the dais to see if there's any other questions or comments as it relates to the proposed ordinance.
Oh.
There's no other questions or comments? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quince,
No.
I think you need a motion.
I'm sorry, my apologies. We have so much coming, I forgot to do that. So at this point in time, we'll entertain a motion as it relates to ordinance number 2026-05. Motion, please. Okay. For the record, I would defer the chair if the vice mayor was here in order to begin the motion. That isn't possible, so if there's no motion by any council member? If not, then the motion, then the passage of the ordinance fell for lack of a motion. Okay, thank you so much. So with that, that was the last item we had for our LPA. That being the case, is there a motion for adjournment?
I just need clarification with this ordinance not being approved. Where do we stand?
Where was that from the beginning?
Yeah, where we are now.
There's no recommendation from LPA. It's on your next meeting's agenda, so I presume something similar will happen, but that'll be taken up at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty, so with that, motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. My sincere apologies. There was a request to go back to the previous, you just
Yeah,
had questions regarding it?
Yeah.
The parking? Okay, understanding, however, that the vote has taken place, but if you just need some clarification, go right ahead.
Right.
Okay, go right ahead.
The parking for a regular residential house is, which is, if I understood it right, if you have, who designates the parking area? Me as an owner, do I designate where I want to park something on my property? I guess that's the question I'm asking.
Mr. Mayor, do you want me to respond?
Yes, please.
So that question does pertain to the ordinance that did not move through, so that will be again on your council agenda. That's the same ordinance that was just not moved either way. So if you want to, I can answer that question now, or I can answer it as part of the council meeting, whichever is your pleasure.
You want to answer now? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's fine.
So typically, I think it's on the building permit plan drawing. So when a single-family house is built, there's the house, there's a survey, there's typically a driveway denoted on the building permit application. So that's where that designated parking areas would be memorialized in a single-family context. Obviously, in multifamily, there's approved parking lots and parking spaces. But in the single-family context, that's done through the permitting process.
So, my house was built in the late 40s. They didn't put driveways in the 40s. They parked wherever they wanted to park without having somebody come and write them up. Well, you can't park there, you have to park here. So if the owner should be designating where you park. So that being said, I can park on my property anywhere I want. Simple. Now, I know that the development and all of this stuff changed since 1947. Problem is, some of the people haven't. So they still park, when they come home and they want to park on the east side of the house, they park on the east side of the house. If they want to park on the west side, they park on the west side. I guess if you move into a place that has HOAs and all that, then they tell you where you have to park. But I guess we have an HOA in the new development back of Bryn Mawr. But Old Town basically hasn't changed that much. I guess what I'm trying to say is if it's my property, I pay the taxes, it's my grass, and if I want to park on it, I'm gonna park on it.
Okay.
So, that's where I stand.
Alrighty. I can only repeat for the record, is that when there's ordinances in place and if they're violated, then the violator is subject to citations. And for me, again, and I just say again in 10 seconds, I guess because the nature of what I do working on the administrative side of healthcare is always how quickly in a life emergency, in a life emergency, can those first responders get to somebody who's in distress? And that is always catamount to me, that can they get there quickly enough to save an individual? Okay, so with that, any other questions or comments? Okay, so with that, we did have a motion for adjournment, and it was seconded.
Second, yes.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. We're going to take just a minute or two, and then we're going to go right into our regular meeting. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay, so if anyone needs a quick break, anyone needs a quick break?
Oh, she's going out. Now we're going to keep moving.
Councilor Davis, is it your turn?
Oh, okay, I got it. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay.
Y'all ready? Stand on up.
Okay.
We're waiting.
All righty, we're ready? Okay, great. Thank you so much for your attendance, and thank you so much for your patience as we got through our LPA. So at this time, we're going to call the Town of Mangonia Park Town Council meeting of July 21st, 2026 into session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alberti.
Here.
Councilmember Davis Quince.
Present.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here?
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Thank you so much, and we do have a quorum. So at this time, let us stand for our invocation, please.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, as we come together tonight, Lord God Almighty, guide us, direct us, show us the way so we can make the right decision for the residents and for the people, because it's not about us. Thank you, Lord God. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for helping us to make the right decisions for the people. Amen.
Man, our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. At this time, we're going to attend to our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, with the council's blessing, I would like to add a presentation under 4A, presentation by Dr. James Green, Executive Director of the Palm Beach County Community Services Department. He has a brief presentation for us.
Thank you so much. Any other additions or deletions?
That's all, sir.
Thank you so much. Seeing that there's only one addition, and is there a motion that we approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Has been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All same sign. It is carried. So thank you so much. And generally what will happen as well, if you're following along with us on our agenda, we would have items that are for our consent agenda would be annotated by an asterisk. We have none thus far. Are there any items to be considered for the consent agenda?
None from staff.
Thank you so much. So with that, we're going to continue on. Our next item is item 4A. And this is a presentation by Dr. James Green from Palm Beach County. And thank you so much for coming and presenting before us. And we're just going to ask if you just give your name. We've done it already,
Absolutely.
but if you can give your name for the record, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, rather. My name is Dr. James Green from Palm Beach County Community Services Department, and thank you for allowing me to share some information with you this afternoon. On behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and our County Administrator, Joseph Abruzzo, I want to say, again, thank you for allowing us to share this important information. Just wanted to begin by highlighting some important information about our system of care and how it works very briefly. Then I'll go into our partnership with the Extraordinary Kids Foundation, and then provide some information on how you can contact us or access the supports that we provide. Palm Beach County is the collaborative applicant for the Housing and Urban Development, the federal government. Federal government provides about $13 million to local nonprofits for the provision of homeless services. Those local nonprofits are also named as the Homeless and Housing Alliance, in which Extraordinary Kids Foundation participates in the Homeless and Housing Alliance. We, as the collaborative applicant, are responsible for all of the data that the members of the Alliance, which is close to about 60 nonprofit organizations, that they provide to homeless individuals. And it allows us to know who's coming into our system, what type of services are being provided, how much money we're spending on those individuals, when they are triaged into temporary and permanent housing solutions, and how long they remain in housing solutions. It also allows us to look at the return on the investment of taxpayer dollars, because about 13 million comes from the federal government, but the county also provides close to 20 million for the entire county to operate our shelters and to provide rental assistance and other support services. So as the collaborative applicant for the Homeless and Housing Alliance, which is more or less a backbone role, what we have seen is that our continuum of care, we house about 1,000, close to 1,000 individuals per day in housing programs. On any given day, we have close to 1,000 people who are in our permanent housing program and our rapid rehousing or transitional housing programs or shelters. We mobilize every 2 years, which is required by HUD, but we try to do it every year, with the exception of this past year. We mobilize about 200 volunteers along with law enforcement to go out and to count individuals who are unsheltered under bridges, sleeping in cars, sleeping in parks, and in other areas throughout the county. So every corner of this county, we mobilize over 200 people to go and count the individuals who are considered unsheltered alongside law enforcement. In 2025, when we hosted the point-in-time count, we counted approximately 1,520 individuals who were either in our shelters or unsheltered on the streets. That represented a 28% decrease from 2024. Now, we recognize that that count is not always the most accurate representation of homelessness in this county, primarily because right here in zip code 33407, There were close to about 300 individuals that we counted in 2024. That number was reduced to just over about around 110 individuals in 2025. We also note that in 2025, the state had just passed the public camping law, and there were a lot of misconceptions about what that law does. What it actually does is it gives the public a right to sue local governments if you see someone who's living on an ongoing basis on public property without it being addressed in a reasonable way. And so it doesn't necessarily allow for those unsheltered individuals to be arrested. You would need a local ordinance, trespassing ordinance, panhandling ordinance in order to do that. This provision simply allows businesses and others to file a lawsuit against local governments. And so the county, alongside the League of Cities and other representatives, put measures in place so that we could adequately respond to unsheltered individuals and to try to send our homeless outreach teams to those locations and do what we can to get them moved into the shelters where they can stabilize, and then get them moving into one of our housing programs, whether that's rapid rehousing, where we pay subsidies to property owners, and eventually they're on their own over a 2-year period, whether it's transitional housing, where they're allowed to pay 30% of their income. We subsidize the rest for sometimes a 2-year period or so, or whether that's permanent supportive housing, where we pay 30%, they pay 30% of their income, we subsidize the rest through HUD dollars for no time period. It can be ongoing, and that's typically for the most chronically homeless individuals. And HUD before required that we prioritize the most chronically homeless individuals, because it can cost us as taxpayers upwards to $35,000 to $40,000 per year per individual to keep them on the streets, because they're constantly interfacing with our law enforcement, with our emergency rooms, sometimes treatment centers, and it's very, very costly. If we can go out, identify them, get them into shelter, get them into housing, subsidize the housing, and get them back on their feet and back to work, then they can become taxpaying citizens. They can become less of a nuisance to our businesses, and it's a win-win for everyone. And so that is the model that we have been implementing. In order to do that, we needed to figure out regional centers for people to get things like food, shelter, clothing, and just the basic needs, showers. And at one point, there were very few places that they could go. People would have to come all the way from Boca to, say, West Palm to the Lord's Place just to, get those services. But we've been working with our faith-based communities and nonprofits to set up these regional locations so that we can send our homeless outreach teams there. They can assess them for shelter, get them on the list, get them housed, and back towards self-sufficiency. And so that is a great partnership that we have with a number of our nonprofits, including faith-based communities. The number one driver of homelessness is not mental health or addiction, as many people believe. The number one driver of homelessness is the lack of affordable housing. And we know that in this county alone, we have close to an 80,000 affordable housing unit gap. That means that there are a number of people, especially renters, who are paying more than 30% of their income on housing. And we know that that number for renters is about 50%, or more than 50% of them are paying 30% of their income on housing. And quite a few are also paying more than 50% of their rent, their income on housing. And what that has led to is, in this county, On any given month, there are between 850 or 900 evictions that are being filed with the courts. And a number of those evictions, probably close to 45 to 50%, end up being evicted. And that's problematic because it's going to continue to increase our unsheltered populations in this county. And it's an increase in burdens on our businesses, on our local governments, and many others. And so we want to work with local government to help resolve this issue. And the League of Cities has a representative on our Homeless Advisory Board that is supposed to report back to all of the municipalities on how we are performing within our homeless system periodically. They have been involved with providing information to us where the issues are so that we can respond, and we convey information to them so that they can share it with the League of Cities body as well. And so I'll say a couple of other things, and then we'll open it up for questions that you may have. When our homeless outreach teams go out, there are a number of ways that they can be called or contacted. Number one, you can go to thehomelessplan.org. That's thehomelessplan.org. And there is a portal. There is a link that you can click, and you can be driving down the street. You park on it, you stop at a red light, and if you see someone who is unsheltered, you can take a picture, you can upload it. It'll send that exact location to us, and we can send our outreach teams there to respond. If you walk out this building, you can take that portal, and it's also on the PBC Connect app. So if you go to and download the PBC Connect app, you'll always have it available to report homelessness. If you utilize that portal, then we can tell you how long it took for us to respond, what the response was, and that documentation is important so that if a lawsuit is filed, then we're able to respond accordingly with the necessary information. You can also call 833-HHA-WILL. That's 833-HHA for a Homeless and Housing Alliance, WILL, W-I-L-L. And you can report homelessness that way as well. And when we send our teams out, the first thing we're gonna do is try to use diversion to get them connected to family members, friends, people who can support them as we help them get back on their feet. But we can also send them. We have money to send them to the place of origin. Maybe some of them came from New York or up north or even other parts of Florida, and they don't have a way to get back. Our teams can assess them and pay for them to get back to their original place of origin, as long as there's someone there to receive them. After we try to divert them, then we assess them for shelters. So we go through and we ask a number of questions, and we triage the most chronically homeless individuals, the ones with the highest needs, into our shelters. We have 5 shelters. One is right here on 45th Street, the Lewis Center. We also have a shelter that we just stood up in the Lake Worth area, the Housing Resource Center 2. We have 2 locations out in the Glades, Melissa's Place and the Belglade Intake Center. And we have 1 shelter for families who are unsheltered. And then we utilize hotels. There are a number of other nonprofits who provide housing as well, transitional and rapid rehousing, as I mentioned earlier. And those programs have shown a relatively good success rate. If we can get them placed in rapid rehousing, transitional housing, approximately 70% of them will remain there even after we stop paying the subsidies for them. And so that just gives you kind of a high-level overview of how our homeless system works. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have in order to gain clarity about how the system of care operates.
Thank you so much for the presentation and the valuable information. We'll see if there's any questions or comments by council, then we'll go to the floor.
Thank you for coming. My mother ran transitional houses, so I do understand the process. And there's a lot of homeless people. I'm so glad that you put the information out that I can call, because I'm constantly calling 911 when I see people laying on the ground, because I said that's somebody's child. Could have been mine.
That's right.
So now I don't have to call 911. I can call you guys, because most of them are homeless, and my heart does go out to those people. So thank you for that information. I do appreciate it, and thank you for coming.
Okay. Right.
Any other questions?
Okay, other
Yes,
comments?
you have a wealth of information that you've shared with us already, and even more that I'd be interested in learning about. I do want to ask about, you mentioned 5 shelters. At one point in time, I do remember the old stockade was considered to be a shelter. Is that no longer functioning?
No, we stood up the stockade while the new shelter was being built. What happened is in one of our local parks, a homeless encampment was established where there were over 200 people in our John Prince Park. And we went through an effort to remove them from the parks into housing. And so we temporarily stood up that shelter, cleared out the park, and it still remains clear today. And they remained at that shelter on Fairgrounds Road until we opened the new shelter, and then we transitioned them to the new shelter.
And
So-
where is the new shelter?
The new shelter is located, you know where Palm Beach State College is?
Yes.
Right, so it's on that Lake Road. If you go down where the drive-in movie theater is in
Yeah.
Lake Worth, if you go down just maybe a quarter mile, what direction is that? That's west. You're driving west, then you'll see it on the left-hand side. We have a senior center there, and then a little further in is a 74-bed housing resource center.
And your outreach team, homeless outreach team, does the screening for placement? Is that
Yes, and
correct?
we also partner with a number of other municipalities. So the city of Boca has carved out resources so they can have their own homeless outreach team. So there are 2 people dedicated just to there, so they have a constant presence and a constant response to addressing homelessness. The city of Del Rey, their police department, they do a lot in partnership with us. The city of West Palm Beach, they have their own homeless outreach team to canvass the downtown area. And then we have an outreach team, and the Lord's Place has an outreach team, and they focus on the Glades area. So all of us have our regions. That portal will allow us to triage it to the region based on the location. And we meet frequently to talk and plan and to make sure that we're coordinating effectively.
Okay, that's good to know. Is this information available on your website or?
It's all there. If you go to thehomelessplan.org, there will be way more information there than you can imagine. You can just go click through it and you'll see, including our homeless plan, because we don't just do things out of the air. There is a homeless plan that we're executing, and we're actually in the process of renewing that homeless plan, and would love to make sure that there's input from you if you have a representative that would like to participate in the Homeless and Housing Alliance meetings. Of course, Nadine here can be that representative because she's always there, she's always present and organizing alongside us.
One other question is about the rapid rehousing program.
Yes.
How is that qualified? How do you qualify for that?
That's a great question. So we work with our local property owners who, when individuals are coming out of our shelters, if they have the ability to work and move towards self-sufficiency, then we will work with a property owner. If there's a property owner listening to us online, you can go to thehomelessplan.org and click on the Smart Landlord link, and you can connect with one of our housing specialists. Once they have a place to go, we partner with that property owner to pay 100% of their rent for a period of time. And then it goes down to 75%, 50%, 25%, and eventually they're on their own. So we provide subsidies just to transition them, get them back to work, and to make sure that they have time to get back on their feet.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Alrighty, Councilwoman Davis. And then,
Is there, I guess I'll ask that offline when I see you, so I can call you about this
Yes, you have,
homelessness. Because I've been doing this type of work. She just didn't know it. Now she knows.
Medina. Yeah. And I'm happy to give you, I mean, I'm not going to give it out
No, that's why I said.
here,
off-
but I'm happy to, and Dan has my cell too, so you can just
And so
contact
she
me.
works,
And you have it as well, so.
go ahead and speak, if you would.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Green, and thank you for your time as well. So I'm Nadine Gilzine. I'm the president and founder of the Extraordinary Kids Foundation. We were founded in 2016, initially to serve special needs and medically complex children. But as the need has grown over the years, we have began to do outreach. So we operate right here in the town of Mangonia. Our building is right here, 1710 East Tiffany Drive. And so we, under our nonprofit organization, we have our outreach program that we are able to provide groceries for our town residents as well as others. We're able to provide hot meals for seniors and those that are in need. We're also able to do haircuts. We have clothing that we give away. And so for us, partnering with the county and other nonprofits to be able to address the economic crisis that exists right here in the town, right here in our county. And so I wanted to bring awareness to what it is that we're doing and the impact that we're having. So far, just for the year alone, for 2026, we've given out over 4,000 hot meals. We've given out over 300,000 pounds of food, meat, groceries, and the like. And so I just wanted the town to be aware of what it is that we're doing and the impact that we are making on the lives of the residents that are right here in the town.
okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your
Any,
service.
okay, anything else?
No, thank you for your service.
Yes.
And all
Well, I'm sorry,
your
McConnell,
partners.
we'll come back to you.
In addition to what you've stated, Dr. Green, tell me a little bit about how your reentry program coincides with your homeless process.
Yeah, so our public safety.
I'm saying that because I know the county
Sure.
has pretty much stopped their reentry program and is revising, so I just want to find out where is that
The
connection?
county currently still operates a reentry program.
Yeah.
We fund, through our public safety department, nonprofits to provide reentry services for those who are transitioning out of our jails. Now, it is not, you'll have to get public safety to give specifics about that program, but it does not cover everyone that's coming out of all levels of jail, federal, state, and local jails. But there's a subset of them who do transition back into the communities, and we're able to provide wraparound supports to get them, put them back to work, to get them housing, to get them to move towards self-sufficiency.
Okay, offline, I want to get with you on that because I also am the executive director of a reentry program in the community. And we're finding those who are released without a sentence are without support.
Yeah, so we have our Criminal Justice Commission working alongside public safety to identify gaps within our system and to put measures in place to make our system more efficient. And the mayor has my number, so he has my permission to share it with all of you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, McConnell?
Yes, well, I guess you could, yeah, I'm a construction worker, so we have a lot of homeless, when you I go on a job early, and, they're hanging around the construction. It's not really, that's not really a pretty thing, but I guess what they do, they go through the trash cans, blah, blah, blah. But I was talking to one gentleman that told me he works 3 jobs and he can't afford a place to stay. So your organization would handle something like.
Yeah, we would love to meet that gentleman if we haven't done so already and offer them rental assistance or some other support services to get them housed or get him housed. Because there are so many unsheltered residents out there who are working, but they cannot afford a place to stay. What we typically offer them are shared housing opportunities. There may be a property owner who has a big heart, knows that we're going to be not just placing individuals and disappearing, but placing them there, checking in on them periodically, making sure that they're moving towards self-sufficiency. A property owner that has multiple rooms in their house and they want to rent out each room to a different individual, he could probably afford to live in a room and then they have a shared living space rather than going into a traditional apartment where he may not have the means to even get in because you need first, last, and sometimes 2 months security before you can even qualify to get into the place. So we would offer relocation assistance and get them stably housed, keep them working, and then they become, taxpayers in many other ways. But I know I'm preaching to the choir, but there's a looming threat out there for residents who will go to the polls on November the 3rd because much of this funding comes from property taxes. And so people don't often make the connection between their property taxes and things that it's paying for. And homeless services, mental health services, substance use supports, senior supports, veteran supports. There are so many health and human services supports that are funded through property taxes. And so there's a good return on that investment, and we want to make sure that the public knows that and to thank the public for their support in helping us to administer these programs through their property taxes.
Certainly. I know that this is one of those issues that is dear to all of us, and I know there's a lot that can be said and so forth. And I have to say this, and I say this publicly on the record, that for quite some time, Palm Beach County didn't do a very good job of addressing the homeless needs, but it has improved tremendously under your leadership, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
I would ask a whole lot of questions, but just as information, we used to run a homeless shelter out of our pockets for years, fish fries, concerts, and you name it, and had a couple of scattered houses, dwellings, and so forth. And sat on the homeless board for a long time, and so I'm shamefully, I haven't been active the last 2 years, but will be re-engaging shortly. And so all of my questions have been answered just through experience. All right, but I did want to ask, and it may not have the exact numbers at this point in time, but what is the total available, the capacity, the amount of beds available in Palm Beach County?
If you're talking about all beds, it's
All
just
beds, just the
it's
capacity is
over
about-
it's over 1,000.
About 1,000, okay.
We run right at around 95% capacity, and so that 1,000 would be inclusive of the rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing,
It's all
and
total.
transitional housing programs.
Okay.
If you're only talking about shelters, is significantly less. We don't have enough shelters. Beds currently to house every individual who's unsheltered on the streets. But that is something that we're looking to expand through our partnership with hotels, et cetera. And I just want to, again, emphasize that, the county is there to help support and to make our system of care the best that it can be. But it's these nonprofits like Extraordinary Kids Foundation and many, many others that are out there doing the work each and every day. And all the credit goes to them for continuing to provide excellent services to our unsheltered populations.
Okay, thanks so much. One of the things I would hope that at some point in time would be considered as opposed to vacant areas and that are buildings that are now being considered for data warehouses. Perhaps maybe an idea, and I'm sure you probably already thought about it, why can't we just take perhaps some of the dollars and try and negotiate with the owner of the building, so that we can meet some of the need as opposed to data warehouse. Let's just kind of become human warehouse. Let's just kind of put people in buildings. But just a thought, so forth.
Yeah, well, the county has worked with the business community to develop a housing plan for all. It is very comprehensive. It sets out to build 20,000 units over the next 10 years. Part of that plan was to get the housing bond passed. We've done that. The housing bond itself was not responsible for the 20,000 units, but the broader plan was. There are a number of strategies that are involved, and we're making relatively good progress. That housing plan for all is on the homelessplan.org site. The study that shows the housing shortages is on that website. There's a plethora of information there for you or other residents who want to know more about our housing and homelessness system here in Palm Beach County.
All right, yeah, thank you so much. Again, you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remove my shame for the past year or two by re-engaging.
All right, I'm going to take you up on that, Mayor.
Real soon. Okay. All right, thanks so much. We
Thank
certainly
you,
appreciate it. Thanks so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, when we do have, and I hope it'll be soon announced, our information, voting information forum, that we include Dr. Green and his staff to talk about the services that are available through the funding that's available.
Absolutely. I'm sure he'd be amenable to attending that particular forum. We're also going to, and I'm sure it's fine, we're going to post those links that we have here on our website as well, so that we have that available as well.
I'm happy to do so.
Okay. All righty. Okay, so Ken, our town manager, will be speaking with them offline. Okay. All right, thanks so much. So with that, great presentation. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our next item, our Palm Beach County League of Cities. Amity?
Just a brief reminder, tomorrow is the next Palm Beach County League meeting up in Palm Beach Gardens at 4404 Burns Road at the Palm Beach Gardens Community Center, same time, 11:30. The speaker will be Sam Wagner from the Florida League of Cities giving a legislative update and also the presentation of Home Rule Hero Awards. So I'll answer any questions.
Thank you so much. So with that, if there's no questions or comments for the attorney, with that, we're going to move on our agenda. Our next item is item 6A, and this is ordinance number 2026-02. This, of course, is first reading. Amend the Code of Ordinance at the Town of Mangonia Park at Appendix Z and zoning. Amity?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, this is ordinance number 2026-02, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending Appendix A zoning at Section 8A, requirements and standards for landscaping and parking in residential areas, RE and R1, in order to comply with recent changes to state law, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is the same 2026-02 that I presented to you at the LPA. This is the ordinance that brings your town code into compliance with state law as it relates to artificial turf. So unless the council would like full presentation, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, this, as the attorney stated, comes by way of a recommendation from the LPA. And so if there's any other questions or comments at this time as it relates to the proposed ordinance?
Oh, excuse me, could you repeat what you just said? Was this, you said parking and what else?
That's just the title of the section. It's 8A, requirements and standards for landscaping and parking in residential areas, RE and R1. That's just the title of the section that we're amending. The regulations are only specific to artificial turf, as I explained at LPA.
So we won't be voting on this, or we are voting on this?
Yes, this
Parking?
ordinance is
So it's kind of brought into, so you kind of brought it together?
there's no changes in this ordinance pertaining to parking. This is just artificial turf, so synthetic turf. And
I got that part, but I also heard you say that and parking, like it's as one.
there's no changes to your ordinance that are applicable to parking. Parking, the word parking is just in the title of the section. That's
Okay.
why I read it.
Okay. Other questions or comments for the attorney? Any other council comments or? Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding you right. So this is not pertaining to residential parking, correct?
That is correct. This pertains only to where you can and cannot put artificial turf.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm hearing you
That
properly.
one didn't make it to the city.
Right, I know that, but I thought she said something that eased it back in. That's why I asked.
Okay. No other questions or comments from council? Then we have full discussion. Alrighty, so with that, we'll see if there's any public comment as it relates to the proposed ordinance. Hearing none, we close the floor to public comment. We're back now at the dais to see if there's any final questions or comments. And of course, this is first reading. Okay, hearing none. And again, for the record, this comes by way of a recommendation from the LPA. So with that, what is your pleasure as it relates to ordinance number 2026-02? Motion, please.
So move that we approve ordinance excuse me, 2026-02.
The motion has been made. Is there a second? Motion has been made that we approve ordinance number 2026-02 on first reading. Is there a second? For the record, I'll second so that we can get to the motion.
Amen.
Okay, are there any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. A roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quince.
I'm gonna say no, because I'm not even sure exactly, because I'm hearing that it's about parking, then I'm hearing it's about, so I'll just say no, because I'm not sure what I'm voting on, to be honest. I heard you say turf, then I heard her say parking.
I did, so that we can get to question. Mitty,
She told me, but I'm still not comprehending what she's saying.
okay, all right.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell.
No.
And Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
It dies for typo.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Our next ordinance, and this is ordinance number 2026-03. This is a first reading as well. Amending the Code of Ordinance of the Town of Mangonia Park at Chapter 13.5. Mitty?
Thank you, Mayor. As you said, this is ordinance 2026-03. This is an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending Chapter 13.5 Landscaping at Article 3 Standards and Requirements to add entirely new Section 13.5-40, Tree planting and easements prohibited, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is the same version of the ordinance I presented to you at the LPA. This prohibits going forward the planting of trees in utility and drainage easements in the town. And I'll answer any questions the council has.
Thank you so much. As stated by the attorney, this comes by way of recommendation by the LPA. And for the record, it is the same body that sits here that passed it at LPA. It is now here for consideration for the full body. So with that, is there any other questions or comments as it relates to the proposed ordinance?
No.
Hearing none, we'll open the floor to public comment to see if there's any comment from the public. Okay, hearing none, we'll close the floor to public comment. We're back at the dais to see if there's any final questions or comments.
No.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Is there a motion?
I'm sorry, my apologies. What is your pleasure as it relates to the ordinance?
So move that we approve ordinance 2026-03.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quince.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell.
Yes.
And Mayor Alberry.
Yes. Thank you so much. Our next item is item 6C, and this is ordinance number 2026-04. Again, a first reading. This comes by way of a recommendation from the LPA, which approved it. This body, sitting as the LPA, and is now for consideration for us. Mitty?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you said, it's ordinance 2026-04, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Mangonia Park at Appendix A zoning, Section 14, general provisions to clarify the requirements for fencing in the RE and R1 residential zoning districts, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is the same 2026-04 ordinance I presented to you at the local planning agency, addressing fences and the security, to address the security risks that were identified to the town. So with that, I'll answer any questions of the council.
Thank you so much. You've heard it read by title, and again, this is an approval from the LPA, a recommendation for us here tonight. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to the proposed ordinance? Okay, hearing none, we'll open the floor to public comment to see if there's any comment from the public. Hearing none, we'll close the floor. So at this point, if there's any additional comments or questions.
Question.
Councilwoman
So we're
Davis.
voting that people that have privacy fences need to be taken down Am I understanding that properly?
No,
right?
so the ordinance applies in the future. So anybody who has a fence right now that does not meet the language in this ordinance would only be required to bring their fence up to this ordinance if there is a substantial repair, meaning the cost of the repair is 50% of the original installation cost. So existing fences are not governed by this until such time as they are in substantial repair.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? None by council. We'll open the floor to see if there's any public comment regarding the proposed ordinance. Hearing none, we'll close the floor to public comment. Are there any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, what is your pleasure as it relates to ordinance number 2026-04?
Mr. Mayor, so move that we approve ordinance 2026-04 as presented.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? I'll second in order to get to the question. Are there any additional questions on the motion? And again, this is an ordinance that was approved by the LPA, which is this body that sits as the LPA, to forward it now for us to consider as a full body on the council. Are there any additional questions or comments as it relates to the ordinance? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Wentz.
So we decided on this one. I'm just gonna say table it. I can't even vote on this one.
Okay, Amiri?
Vote on it.
There's a motion and a second, so unless you have technically a voting conflict, the motion on the floor is to approve. So there is a vote required unless you are required to abstain.
Right.
Okay. And again, just as she's considering, again, just a reminder that sitting as the LPA, this body, passed this and forwarded on to us now, sitting as the council, in order to approve or not to approve. So we did have discussion at that point. So at this point, the roll call has started. Councilwoman Davis?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. All righty. She said
No.
Councilmember Johnson
Yes.
and Councilmember McConnell
Yeah.
and Mayor Alberry.
yes.
It passes 3-1.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 6D, my apologies. This is orders number 2605. This was the one that was failed.
We
I did not.
do need action, though, because it is on for first reading, so with no recommendation from the LPA, I'll read it quickly by title, and I would ask the council, if it's still the desire of the council not to pass this, to motion accordingly. So with that, it's ordinance 2026-05, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Mangonia Park at Chapter 6, Buildings and Building Regulation, creating an entirely new section 6-245, occupancy limitations and violations to establish occupancy limitations for single-family dwellings, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank you so much. We've heard it read by title. Again, this was considered at the LPA. Is there any other questions or comments as it relates to the proposed ordinance? Any other council comments or questions?
I'm out of order a little bit, but can I get a clarification from the attorney on this ordinance that didn't pass LPA? For the wording in this ordinance for code violation and/or just compliance, if people are doing whatever they're doing illegally, does this make it impossible for the code to be enforced? Because single-family home is still defined as single-family home, correct? So if they're illegally renting rooms,
We can enforce the code that we have currently on the books. We
I want to
cannot
make sure
enforce
that
the
this
code.
doesn't, not adopting it, they still don't get protection, they still get to be brought up on
Under
code
the
violation
existing town
charges
code,
if
that's
they're
correct.
caught.
And building code.
And building
fire
code violations.
Any existing town code or applicable
Okay. This
state
would just
code.
make it better for them to pull a business tax receipt to do certain things in order to rent the required, what's legally required by state building code.
It's
For
more than
space.
just the BTR, though. There's
Correct, I know,
additional
I got you.
regulations, but
Okay. There were people, I just want to make sure, because I want to make sure they're still on the radar.
Okay. And just as information as well, for those in the audience and those who may be online, this was simply the attempt to, I guess, kind of partially supplement what we have on the record. so that it's very clear. We have very clear language on the record as it relates to that. And our whole desire, of course, is that at some point in time, you want to be able to not have what we've had and could have, and that being 20 people living in a 2-bedroom house, if you will, as an example. And that was just an attempt by council to make sure that we prohibit unsafe conditions such as that. So with that, it has been read by title. If there's no other questions by council, okay, we'll go to the floor to see if there's any comments from the public. Hearing none, we'll close the floor. So hearing that there's no other questions or comments by council, roll call, please. Excuse me.
Motion.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My apologies. I keep second time. My apologies. All righty. And I hope you can hear me through the hoarse, since I'm a little hoarse today. At this point in time, what is your pleasure as it relates to ordinance number 2026-05? A motion, please.
Motion that we table this ordinance 2026-05.
Motion has, I'm sorry, motion
Further
has,
study.
motion has been made to table, which is a legal, table.
2605. Is there a second on that motion?
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's clear. Right, so that is a justifiable motion to table. Is there a second as it relates to the motion to table? I'll second it for questions. So it has been moved and seconded that we table ordinance number 20265 to be considered at some later point in time. Is there any questions on the motion?
A second at the table.
Hearing none.
Seconded.
Roll call.
Councilmember Davis Quince,
No,
Councilmember Johnson,
yes to table it.
Councilmember McConnell,
No.
and Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
Died.
Okay, thank you so much. It fails to pass for lack of support.
Twice.
Our next item is item 6E, and this is ordinance number 2026-6, and of course, this is first reading as well, amending the Code of Ordinance of the Town of Mangonia Park in Chapter 14. Mitty?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is, as you said, ordinance number 2026-06, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Mangonia Park at Chapter 14, Licenses and Business Regulations at Section 14-41, 14-42, 14-44, and 14-45 in order to provide additional definitions and update the procedures and standards for reasonable accommodation requests for certified recovery residences, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. You did not hear this at LPA. There was a discussion at a prior meeting. I made comment as part of my legal report that ordinance would be coming before you. As you remember, back in December of 2025, you passed a similar ordinance, basically codifying the town's reasonable accommodation process, moving it from a policy document, which is what it was, a resolution, into the ordinance. That was a requirement to address a change to the state law as it relates to certified recovery residences and the requirement that the town have a reasonable accommodation process for certified recovery residences. It didn't make sense at that time to have one policy for regular reasonable accommodations set by resolution, and then a separate ordinance, which is what the state law required for certified recovery residences. So you passed that ordinance in December of 2025. Your reasonable accommodation policy was codified. It's now in your ordinance. This ordinance is adding some additional requirements to the ordinance specific to certified recovery residences to ensure that when we get reasonable accommodation applications from certified recovery residences, that we are getting the required information to make an evaluation for those facilities. So it's a substantive change to address those specific facilities because every reasonable accommodation request is different. The ones for certified recovery residences require some different information. So this ordinance specifies what we need applicants to provide. It also tracks the case law precedent in terms of the factors that the town should be considering in evaluating reasonable accommodation applications for certified recovery residences, and dealing with having a demonstration of therapeutic necessity, fundamental alterations to the surrounding areas, compatibility, over-concentration of these facilities. So it establishes some distance separation requirements to ensure that there is not an over-concentration of certified recovery residences within the town. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you have, but this is again in response to the change to state law to make sure that we are getting on application the information that the town needs to make an evaluation of these applications.
Thank you so much. You've heard a read by title as well as a description of the proposed ordinance. Are there any questions or comments from council?
Can you define what you mean by recovery residents? Are you talking about businesses? What are you just talking about residents? What's your definition?
No, so it's a certified recovery residence is a specifically defined establishment under state law. So it's, I can read you exactly the definition. Recovery residence that holds a valid certificate of compliance and is actively managed by a certified recovery residence administrator as defined under section 397-311 Florida statute. So these are facilities that are specifically regulated by the
Group
appropriate
homes.
agency. A little bit different than group homes, but very similar. Yes.
Okay, so in the town, we have, I know about a group home. So you're not talking about group homes, you say similar, help me out.
I'm talking about only those facilities that are licensed as certified recovery residences. So not all group homes would be a certified recovery residence. It depends on how the group home operates as to whether they have a state license as a certified recovery residence.
So we're gonna be voting if they can have this or not, is that correct?
No, the ordinance that's before you sets forth the documents that need to be provided for certified recovery residences who make application to the town for reasonable accommodation.
So if I came in and said I wanted a recovery residence, and I would need to have all my papers from the state.
Correct.
If I was opening up a business, this does not pertain to a resident unless it's a business, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions, Councilwoman Davis?
I'm thinking over here.
Okay. Any other council comments or questions?
I think the clarification is very necessary, and I'm glad to see it is in writing. I know we had discussed this previous town meetings, pardon me, last fall, that we needed to get it cleaned up and specified so that we would have the enforceable information, and I'm glad to see we do.
Is this going to pertain to like Airbnbs also? No?
No,
Just-
just certified recovery residences. What's happening is the state continues to put mandates on you as the town council to deal with things in certain manners, and your town code doesn't always use the same nomenclature or the same language that the
Right.
state. We don't have the same language in our code. We don't have the same definition. So
Right.
every time they do that, we have to go back to our ordinance and address and follow the mandates of state law and then make sure our code is complying. So
Okay.
that's what this is doing.
Okay, just want to get a clear understanding.
Okay. Other council comments or questions? Okay. Alrighty. And just for the record, before we go to the floor, those items, the wording that is underlined or is the new insertion.
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have said that long ago, but that's correct. All these ordinances, double underlined is new language.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. So with that, if there's no additional questions or comments by council, we'll go to the floor. We'll open the floor for any public comment as it relates to the proposed ordinance. Hearing none, we'll close the floor to public comment. Are there any additional questions or comments by council? If not, motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, so move that we approve ordinance 2026-06 as presented.
The motion has been made. Is there a second? I'll make the second in order to get to the question. Are there any additional questions or clarification needed on the motion as it relates to the proposed ordinance 2026-06?
Mr. Mayor, if I can,
Morse.
if I
Go
may,
ahead.
just to further clarify, this is something we already had on a resolution for many years, and it's now the state that is requiring us to put this in an ordinance. So just to be clear, this is something the state is asking us to do. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Any other questions or comments or clarification needed? Okay, so it has been properly moved and seconded. If there's no additional questions or comments. Okay, so with that, motion, please. I'm sorry, a roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Wentz,
No.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
I'm
Councilmember
not sure.
McConnell,
Yes.
and Mayor Alberry.
Yes.
It passes 3-1.
Thank you so much. Our next item, let me just get back. It's item F, and this is ordinance number 2026-07. This is first reading as well. Amending the Code of Ordinance of the Town of Mangonia Park at Chapter 14, Licenses and Business Regulations. Committee?
Thank you. As you said, Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance 2026-07, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Mangonia Park at Chapter 14, Licenses and Business Regulations at Section 14-18, application to clarify that inspections are required annually upon initial application and upon renewal, and at Section 1420, due dates, delinquency penalties, noncompliance penalties, to authorize a penalty for those operating a business prior to obtaining a business tax receipt, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. This is amending a section of the code that did not require LPA hearing, so you didn't hear it at LPA, but I did make reference, as I said, at a previous, under a previous legal report at one of your prior meetings. This makes 2 changes to the code, clarifies that in section 1418, inspections are due at the time of original application for a business tax receipt in the town. The town's renewal process is relatively automatic in that BTRs automatically renew when people pay the fees. This ordinance allows for a reinspection at the time of renewal. What is happening in town is people come in and get business tax receipts for the first time. There's an inspection done, and then circumstances change inside the facility that the town is not aware of. So this allows us to do a reinspection to make sure that how they allege they are operating remains how they are still operating. The only other change in the ordinance is on the 3rd page. I'm sorry, there's not a page number at the bottom. That language is allowed by state law, so there was just a change to your ordinance to make it reflective of what's allowed in state law in terms of penalties for delinquent business tax receipts. So nothing that's not in conformance with existing law. With that, I'll answer any questions of the council.
Thank you so much. You've heard a read by title as well as a description of the proposed ordinance. Are there any questions or comments by council? If so, we'll have those addressed. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll go to the floor to see if there's any comment from the public as it relates to the proposed ordinance. Hearing none, we'll close the floor. And again, this is a first reading as it relates to the ordinance, ordinance number 2026-07. With that, motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I so move that we approve ordinance 2026-07 as presented with the adjustments.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Wentz.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell.
Yes.
Mayor Alberry.
Yes. Thank you so much. Our last item for consideration, action item, is item 6G. And this is resolution number 2026-10, repealing resolution number 203-112 as it relates to the site plan number, SR, as you have it there on our agenda. And applicant is here. And thank you so much for your patience. So we're going to have you just come forward and just state your name and address for the record, then we go to our attorney.
Absolutely. Good evening, Commissioners. For the
Good evening.
record, Josh Nichols with Schmidt-Nichols, representing Storage Journal of America.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Amity?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir, and I'll turn back to the council for any ex parte disclosures on this item.
None by me. Alrighty. Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so for the record, no applicant, no councilperson has had conversation prior to this. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Do we
Thank you.
have the screen? Can, will we put it on the screen? Are we able to put it on the screen? I think we have a,
You have that already? We all have
yeah.
it.
Can we put, do we have a copy to put on the
No,
screen?
I didn't know you had the fancy
Okay.
new electronics, so I did not have it.
Okay, you gotta come visit us more often.
I guess so.
Okay.
So I'll know for next time.
Okay, okay. Thanks so much, and Thank you so much.
Do you want me to lead off and?
Yes, if like, we're going to give you the floor.
Absolutely. So this is the 45th Street Storage Run of America project. As you all know, the new storage facility is up and running here in the town. And we have a couple requests that have come forward, and that's the reason for today's amendment request. So anyways, there's 3 items, and as we walk through, so on page 2, we'll kind of start there. So the first item was the request to remove the digital monument sign that was part of the conditions of approval originally. And there was also a condition with that, number 20, on the previous resolution. So we're asking to eliminate that condition and also that sign. The condition read that the applicant was to fund and install said sign. The safety factors involved in public right-of-way and also the liability involved in the applicant installing that became a concern for the applicant's legal counsel. So they've requested to eliminate that sign. In doing so, in that elimination, offering a payment in lieu of, so that the town would not be out of that improvement cost that they would otherwise be getting. So that's the first request. On slide 3 is a proposal. There's a sidewalk segment that's was originally planned for South Place at the project's, I guess, the east side of the project's entrance. And that segment of sidewalk, it's actually encumbered by a number of easements and also some of the electrical boxes for the signal. So those, it can't physically be installed also due to ADA sloping requirements. So again, instead of putting that segment of sidewalk installed on South Place, which doesn't lead to anything, there's a segment that has been identified just to the north within the community on Broadman. Is it Broadman? Boardman? Boardman. On Boardman Avenue. That would create a better connectivity within the community. So you can see that little segment there with the red highlight around it. So again, there's already ADA access. If you were to leave the self-storage facility, walk down 45th Street, cross over South Place, there is a sidewalk existing there. So this segment of sidewalk doesn't connect to anything. So it's better served to relocate it to an area that would provide some connection for the community. So that is that swap, and the applicant would also be proposing to provide funds to the town to be able to accomplish that sidewalk swap. The third item is actually a request from the town, and this would be to add, you can see the current design of the Bryn Mawr sign, and so it would be adding the town name, Mangonia Park, on the actual sign. So this was a request, again, this is at the corner of 45th and South Place, and this was, again, request of the town. We're happy to do so. However, we would ask, as you move to slide 5, we would ask that if that was to move forward, that would be deducted to make that sign face change from the overall in lieu payments that the applicant's offering. So in this payment breakdown, so the South Place sidewalk, as we talked about, swapping that to a new location, that's about $7,500. The digital monument sign is a $30,000 line item, and then the Bryn Mawr would be a deduction of the $8,000 to do that relocation. So those are the numbers. We've got quotes that we've provided for each of those improvements. So it's not just a number we came up with. There are quotes for those construction or installation items. And with that, I also had, I just wanted to make sure that in the new resolution, there was a condition about a proposed wall. And I just wanted to make sure that was clarified, because it's a fence and not a wall along the north side. So I think that was just something that needed to be corrected in the resolution. But other than that, those are our couple items, and happy to discuss more or answer any questions you may have, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. We'll see if there's anything from administration, and then we'll come to council while they're examining. Okay.
Mayor and council, so to all of Josh's points, so the first thing is, I believe he mentioned the digital sign. So basically, that was removing it from their property onto public right-of-way, in essence, okay? So this is council's decision as to, you know, how we proceed with this. You do have the option to ask the property owner to construct that sign as was the original request, except that it was on the public right of, or I'm sorry, it was on their property. Originally, it was on, correct me, Mitty, I'm sorry.
No, it was always on the
right away.
west side, on the public's right, on the town's property, on the
Okay.
west side of West Place.
Okay, so that's the way that it is right now, and that's council's pleasure on that. On the sidewalk,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
before we go, if we can, we'll have comment on each, and then we'll come right back to it on each. Okay, any questions or comments about council as it relates to the monument, the digital signs?
Well, we starting at with the sign.
This is on page
On
2.
Brent Mawr.
Not the
page
Bryn
2.
Mawr sign,
Brent
the
Mawr sign.
No,
Not-
page 2.
Oh, page 2.
That's where we're beginning.
digital monument sign.
Okay, the monument sign, I hope that we can keep the first agreement, even if you have to raise it higher. That way it's not a hazard or a safety hazard in any manner. Where it won't be any blockage, maybe it has to go higher. But I would like to keep that digital sign. I think it'll look very nice there. That's my comment for 2.
Okay, we're going to take them one
You
at
want
a
me to
time.
stop 2? You gonna
Yes,
come
and then
back?
we'll come back to
I can
3
finish.
and back to 4. Okay.
Go ahead.
Just for clarity, okay. Any other council comments as it relates to page 2, the digital sign? Okay. Just while the other council members are thinking, now, the sign is currently there, and at one point it had digital readouts in the body of it, right? Is that still happening?
No, so there was a change to the sign that was permitted on site. That one we had a condition to remove the digital component of that monument sign that's on site. And then there was a separate sign that had the digital component.
Yeah, right. Now, the one that I'm referring to is the one on the west side, closest to the Cadillac dealership.
Yep.
You'll, right where it has the digital content on that
Yep.
particular monument. There was digital information being shown at one point in time.
Correct.
That
That-
became a hazard.
Well, no, that sign's not constructed.
No, there's a sign on the west side of the property. Right,
Correct.
that has the name of the business first.
Yep.
And then in the middle of it is actually a screen that had digital information being shown at some point in time, for a period of time, on the west side. Yes.
No, because we have a condition, condition number 19, it says, of the previous resolution, 2023-12 says, applicant shall remove the electronic digital messaging panel from the proposed freestanding monument sign and update all plans to depict the, so before we ever got out of the gate from the approval, we had to remove it from the plan. So that one never had a digital output on it.
Let's make sure we're talking about the same sign.
Go ahead.
Okay. So on page 2, you'll see where you have signage, then in that square box, you have digital content.
Correct.
And then after that, you have signage, and that's a front rear view. I'm speaking of that sign.
Correct, and that sign has not been built yet.
Okay, maybe I'm missing something,
Yeah.
because there's a sign there.
Not,
At the entrance to the development, right on the
Correct.
west side of the property, closest to the Cadillac dealership, there's signage there.
not your sign.
Does Storage Rentals of America
th-
sign?
Yeah, there's one sign that's built just on, let's talk about just the west side of that area by West Place. There's one sign, it's on Storage Rental of America's property.
I'm referring to that sign.
Okay, yeah, and that's on the east side of West Place. That's on the east side of West Place, and that one is Storage Rental sign, and that does not have an electronic, never had an electronic
Okay.
panel. Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with the town manager regarding it. It had digital content at some point. Maybe it doesn't now, but at one point, maybe it was just a tester or something. But it did. You'll notice you have digital content in that box.
Correct, that's the sign that was part of condition 20 that says the applicant has agreed to install.
I understand. So I'm speaking of that particular sign.
Yeah.
So as we speak, is digital content being displayed on that sign?
That one isn't built. That one's not constructed.
So if
Yeah,
we were to
I-
take a field trip right now, and we saw the property, we won't see the sign again anymore?
It was never built. It was never built there. Correct.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to tell you. So we've only constructed one sign, which was on the east side of West Place.
Yes.
That specifically says Storage Rental of America. No electronic display. It couldn't because there was a condition of approval that prohibited it.
Okay. Okay, alrighty. So the sign that you, and then we're going to move to the next.
Yeah.
So the sign, so that we're, for the record, so that we're clear, the signage that we're speaking of on page 2, does that exist?
No.
Okay, okay.
That's why we're asking to pay in lieu of constructing said sign, because it has not been constructed.
Okay, so in the middle of the night, somebody put a sign there, because it's,
We did not. I'm not sure.
okay.
No.
There's no digital sign.
'Cause
No, for clarification, what I stated was that there was a sign there, there was a sign there. Why, this is the one by the entrance into Meritage Homes.
Like if you were to keep, yeah, Meritage is at the
Right.
back.
So on that area there was a sign.
Storage Rental of America did not have
Okay.
anything to do with that sign. If there was one put up,
Okay.
they didn't, because they would have had to get permits and right away.
Okay.
That we did not
Okay.
construct that
There,
sign.
there was a town sign there at one point.
No, not the town sign. No. Okay, all right, we can move on. Okay,
Understood.
all righty. Any other questions as it relates to page 2?
Yeah, it got knocked down on Meritage.
Hearing none. Okay, so we'll go now to page 3. Ken?
So page 3 indicates the idea of the sidewalk on South Place, and what Josh is referring to is there was a condition to put the sidewalk on the, I guess, the west side of South Place, almost bordering their property, but because of the utilities, the wires, the boxes for the traffic lights and everything, and because that strip is just so narrow, that became impossible to put the sidewalk there. And this was something that was talked about with the company at length, several visits over there. So the compromise, if you will, was to consider on Boardman, there's 2 pieces of sidewalk that do not connect. So I think the offer is to connect those 2 pieces and have a little bit more of affluent access. But need to caution council on this. So what they're proposing tonight is not to do this work or have this work done. Their proposal is to write the town a check for all of this work. And so, but that's the skinny on the sidewalk. So to do away with the one that was proposed on South Place, that was a condition of approval, and to allow for one or allow for a payment of one to connect the 2 pieces on Boardman.
Would you revise the sidewalk on Boardman?
Okay,
Okay.
all righty, so with that, and that is indeed the request.
Yes.
Before we have the questions? Okay.
Correct.
All righty, questions or comments from council?
No, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Board.
Yeah, all righty, any other questions or comments as it relates to page 3, the sidewalk? Okay, so just while others are thinking. Now, Boardman is a very narrow street, so we would be putting in a swell area if built?
No, just the sidewalk.
Right,
Not
but
the asphalt.
but the sidewalk would go in the swell area?
It would go within
Or-
the right-of-way extents. Again, there hasn't been survey work done for any of this, so that would
That's
have
the
to be
thing.
done.
We have to
Yeah.
verify that
Yeah.
it's actually in the right of way. before
Right, because I'm
we-
considering utilities that might be under and so forth. and
Correct.
So we really don't know at this
Absolutely.
point.
That's right.
Okay.
All right, we're on 4?
No, not yet.
Okay, still on 3.
All righty, so, yeah, we just want to make sure that we attend to their request on page 3. And the town manager has chimed in. We'll see if the committee has anything as it relates to page 3, the sidewalk.
No, sir.
Okay. All righty. So at this point in time, as you stated, a survey has not been done. So I'm not sure if there's underground utilities before we could agree, if it was our desire to do so, we would have to do our due diligence as well.
And just to piggyback on that, that was just a potential
Just a-
location, so it could be another spot that works better for the town as well. So that was just an area that looked like it would create a continuation within the neighborhood, so it made sense, and it was nearby. But again, even if there are utilities underground, typically those do run under the sidewalk. As long as the sidewalk's in the right-of-way, it should be, but again, there has to be some survey work done.
Some of our utilities are very fragile.
Yeah, I understood.
Right.
Understood.
Alrighty. So one way to handle this, I guess, and then I'll go to the attorney, is that we haven't had a survey done, so we don't know if that would be the most effective use of space or to place it there. So council has the ability at this point in time, and we'll have the attorney chime in, would be to just, if we agreed that in lieu of building the sidewalk, payment in kind, and at some point in time, we decide where the most effective place is to build a sidewalk if necessary. That's one of the options. The other option is, no, it was on the plan, let the applicant build it. So, but we'll go to committee and see if anything else.
Yeah, that's fine. So at the end of this discussion, what needs to, we'll come up with the conditions if there is to be a movement of approval on this. But yes, and I would caution the council that if there is to be a payment in lieu of construction of the sidewalk by the applicant, those funds, when they're given to the town, should they ever be given to the town, would need to be dedicated to construction of a sidewalk. So that language would be reflected in the condition, that that money is to be used for a sidewalk. It doesn't have to be for this specific location that's shown on this map if there's an issue at that location, but it would need to be earmarked for construction of a sidewalk.
Of a sidewalk. Okay, so just in general. Okay, so with that, any other questions or comments by council?
No.
Okay. Alrighty, so we'll come back to it and we'll do approvals one at a time. Okay, now we're on page 4, and this is as it relates to refacing Bryn Mawr Monument sign. The applicant representative did state, we'll go to Ken, and then we'll go to committee to see if there's anything, and then we'll come right back to council.
So Mayor, on this, and I think I talked about this a little bit on our one-on-ones. So the sign that's there is beautiful. It's a nice sign and everything. There was some concern from council and also some comments from the public about the wording. As it's worded right now, and you see on the left, it does say, "Welcome to Bryn Mawr," which, you know, that's nice in itself, but I think there's a little bit of confusion, or that it could cause some confusion, that Bryn Mawr is actually the name of the town, if you don't know any better coming through. So the proposal would be to have something that says, "Welcome to Mangonia Park, Bryn Mawr neighborhood." That's not exactly what's on here, but that would be my suggestion. "Welcome to Mangonia Park, Bryn Mawr neighborhood."
Okay.
Or
Alrighty,
to council's pleasure.
Right, I'm sorry, before we get to council, we'll see if the committee has anything at this point. If not, then we'll.
Not at this point.
Okay, so at this point, we'll take council comments. Councilwoman Davis?
So I think it should say, "Welcome to Bryn Mawr neighborhood," period, because that's kind of confusing. You say Bryn Mawr, Mangonia Park, it identifies that neighborhood. "Welcome to Bryn Mawr neighborhood." That's the word that should go under there, because it's the neighborhood. But if you say to Bryn Mawr, Mangonia Park, you're like, it's kind of confusing. That's just my suggestion.
No, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes, the town is Mangonia Park.
Right.
So the sign should represent "Welcome to Mangonia Park." If we want to indicate a neighborhood, that can be under the Mangonia Park name, because we need to let people know this is where Mangonia Park begins.
Okay. So we need,
Then the neighborhood is a portion of Mangonia Park.
that's not where it begins.
That is.
Alrighty, I'm sorry, just one person at it.
Where does it begin?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, well, no,
sorry.
just, right, Councilwoman Johnson has the floor, then we can, okay.
Yeah, it begins.
Okay, anything else, Councilwoman Johnson? Okay, alrighty, other council comments as it relates to the signage?
Begins by West Place.
Okay, alrighty. Just my comment is simply this, is that I believe Mangonia Park is Mangonia Park, right? And I appreciate all of the areas and support all of the areas. But one of the things, as it currently is constructed, is that there has been comments regarding it In fact, visitors, one or two visitors, like, I knew Mangonia Park was small, but is it that small? Right, I passed by, now I'm in another city, right, and generally when you have marquees out that far to the road, it denotes that you're now entering a city or a township, right? Monuments like this to denote that you're now in a community are further up in the entry point of a community that I've seen throughout as I've traveled and so forth. That's generally how it happens. But to the comments made already, generally marquees that far, that is exposed to the public in that great of a degree would always indicate that you're still, or you are, in a township first, or a city first. And then, a marquee would be that. So, because we can't dig that up and move it, we have to make sure that the signage reflects accurately. And to that point, my recommendation would be that if indeed we want to denote that Mangonia, Bryn Mawr is a subdivision in the town, not the town, it's a subdivision in the town, then it would be welcome to Mangonia Park, right? And then you can have, and then you could have Bryn Mawr in smaller letters, because the township always get first billing,
That's right.
right, as opposed to a community or a subdivision. Okay. That just my observation.
And we're happy to make that modification if that's the board's pleasure. Absolutely.
You have something else?
Or we could
Councilor?
just say Brent Mawr Community. I know we could have the sign, because you're trying to do that digital sign would say Welcome to Mangonia Park, because that's where we start at. That would be, that's why I suggested that, because if they do that digital sign, it's gonna say Welcome to Mangonia Park, the digital sign, so the neighborhood could be, it don't have to say neighborhood, it could say community. But I'm just saying, because we don't start, Mangonia Park doesn't start at that sign. It starts on by West Place. And that's why I said that. Correct. It doesn't start right there on Boardman. It starts.
Right, well, two things. Right, but two things. The electronic signage, of course, isn't going to happen.
No.
Right, so.
Do we
but
say
now-
no to that?
I'm
We
sorry.
said no to that already?
Just point of order. I'm sorry, point of order. Okay, right, so what we are going to be doing in terms of just where the actual town line is,
Right.
there was one at Embarcadero, right, that whatever reason sort of disappeared, that has to come back.
Correct.
Right, and that lets people know that when you're entering into Mangonia Park, it's very confusing if you see something a couple of blocks away that says, welcome to Bryn Mawr or Hill or whatever. Imagine if you would, just for optics' sake, that you're coming down Australia and out of Riviera Beach, and there was a big sign erected, welcome to the Hill Avenue, Hill section, right? Would you think that you're now in a different city, or?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. yeah.
So,
I understand.
excuse me, does the Hill section have identification? I think it does, no? So it's
There's
just,
no marquee.
so no mark, so you don't think that neighborhoods should be marked out? Even if you put the big signs at the beginning of entrance on both, Australia, welcome to Mangonia Park, which we have a sign with, it's not the biggest sign, like the Brent Mawr sign.
Right. To your question, not that it relates to this, but just personally, I've had some issues with signage in communities because welcome to, so I won't call cities terrorists. And it carries a connotation, right, that isn't always positive. Right, you can go into some neighborhoods, I mean no offense, but you can go into some neighborhoods and it has a designation, now you're in this section, okay, now you're in that section. And I've gone to more affluent neighborhoods, if you can get my drift, and that's not, it doesn't happen like that.
Every neighborhood I've been in identify their interests, all in Rivera, West Palm. If you go in those affluent neighborhoods, when you enter, it tells you where you're entering.
Right, I'll stand on my statement that if you go into the less affluent neighborhoods, you will see them. You go into the more affluent neighborhoods, you're not going to see that.
The only
Better
other
go
thing
to Jupiter.
The only other thing I would mention is typically for a town sign or city sign, you have the seal. So that kind of differentiates a neighborhood sign for a community versus the town. So that's a thought too.
Right, and I mean, better placed, and I'm not suggesting that we do this, but better placed, and I was hoping that if indeed this was going to happen, because it wasn't a request by the town, it wasn't a requirement in terms of the site plan approval, if it had been better, more situated up near the entrance, right, so that it was very clear, because if I'm out of town and I'm trying to find Mangonia Park, right, I would see it at the entry when I'm coming from the east. When I come across the tracks, there's a sign, oh, now I'm in Mangonia Park, right? And once we get in Embarcadero back up, oh, now I'm in Mangonia Park, it clearly lets me know. But if I see something midway that says something else, now I'm confused. Did I enter another city already?
So should we move it back, the sign? I mean,
I
it
don't,
might work.
I don't think that they're gonna want to go through the expenses.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
I'll let
This is
him
a
answer.
problem.
Yeah, so that sign location, because we worked with the community of Bryn Mawr, and that was the location, and that was the script that was agreed upon as we went through the process. So that's how it ended up there. Not to say it's right or wrong, that's just how it ended up. So we'd rather not dig that up at this point.
I'm okay.
Yes, that would.
I would, yeah. Or we can give you the money that you want to give us with the sidewalk, you could dig it up and move it. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm sorry, that was, Councilman McConnell, my apologies.
I mean, that was when I seen the sign, first time I seen the sign, I'm thinking, well, why isn't Mangonia Park on there? You know, I mean, that was my first thought when I seen the sign, because Mangonia Park's not even on there. So, I mean, I didn't let it bother me, I just thought that Mangonia Park should be on the sign.
Because it's close to the road. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, right, unfortunately, some things are about optics, right? And that sort of lets us know how it influences. When I say us, I'm generally speaking. Is there any other comments or questions as it relates to page 4, the signage?
Well, I definitely think we need to have Mangonia Park as the highlighted welcome. Even if it's a smaller letter, if it's Bryn Mawr of Mangonia Park, Bryn Mawr could be small, of Mangonia Park. So that's where you know Bryn Mawr is a part of Mangonia Park. That's my recommendation.
Okay.
Okay. And, okay, all righty. And there has to be, again, we want to identify, if necessary, our subdivisions. And I'm just kind of looking as we're talking, welcome to Mangonia Park. And then, so how do you go about just making sure it's clear that, number one, you're in Mangonia Park, but we're also letting you know there's a subdivision further up this way. So how do you go about doing that without putting an arrow? Which, of course, at that point in time, is like, do you want to do that? Because once again, optics. So, yeah.
Put an arrow.
I'm not suggesting,
I know,
I'm just saying
just
from an
laughing
optics standpoint.
Because I visual.
Right, so, yeah, so there you go, it's about the visual, so how do we visually continue to keep in context that you're in Mangonia Park, but there's I guess a request or a desire to make sure that Bryn Mawr is still identified as well on the signage, and I'm just trying to resolve that, so, okay.
And if it can't, if that part can't be resolved tonight, at least if you want the change to the sign, we can agree on that part of it, and then we can work through the text.
How are we going to do the
Absolutely.
other part of it? Okay.
So we'll have, once it says welcome, just say we all agree, welcome to Mangonia Park, and then you put Bryn Mawr. I can understand that. We're gonna have another welcoming sign on the other side of the building also, so that we got no more signs at the entrance. Are we gonna put it back across the street, or is this not gonna be a sign?
So then could you
Because that's not the
signage,
interest of-
signage on their property? Is your
No,
first
no,
question?
because I thought you said that wasn't happening. I asked, are you putting it back where
The
it
one at
was
Embarcadero.
on the other side?
Yes, we got to figure out what happened and.
So the way that it's here, and this is for council's decision, the digital sign would be going where the old Welcome to Mangonia Park sign is at. The one on the other side, beside Embarcadero, that's going to be replaced. That is going back
Okay,
up.
okay.
So that, we're doing that.
Okay.
It was hit by a truck one night, so we have to replace that. We were trying to go through insurance, see if they would pay for it and all that stuff, but we'll put that back. Where the proposal is for the digital sign, that's where the old Welcome to Mangonia Park sign was at.
Okay, so are we gonna be voting if they're no for the digital or yes tonight? That's a question.
Okay. What? Oh, okay. So what the applicant proposal is tonight is, as it relates to the signage, and we'll let you restate so that we don't misstate,
Just for the signage or all?
for the signage.
Yeah, okay. So number one is the digital sign. So there was on the approvals back in 2023, it required a digital sign that had to do with Mangonia Park. And it could, the town would be able to control that digital messaging, right? So, but it was slated to be in the public right of way. So we're asking, because of issues with liability and safety concerns of the location, we're asking that be deleted, but not just deleted, that we would fund the town with the replacement value of what that sign would have cost. So is this on? Or- Didn't sound like, maybe it is.
Okay.
So we just wanted to make sure that the town was whole in terms of the cost of what we would, in lieu of, to put that sign in. So
Okay.
that's ask one, is the removal of that sign. And it comes with the.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could have him clarify, so what he's saying is they, the applicant, would not construct that digital sign. They would write a check to the town, and the town would construct and install the sign on its own right of way. Is that correct, Josh?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, now we gotta understand.
Alrighty, have we priced out the sign?
Say that again?
Have we priced out the sign, or that's gonna come?
Absolutely. So we have a quote that we submitted. So
Okay.
that was the $30,000.
Okay.
Which would be the cost of installing that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, great.
So, yep.
Okay.
And so, the other sign item was what we were kind of talking about, was the request to update the sign face of the Bryn Mawr sign. So we're happy to make that happen, but there is a cost associated to that, which was the $8,000. That was the credit that we had discussed. So you have the South Place, which is the sidewalk segment, defined with the digital sign, and then the credit for the Bryn Mawr sign.
Okay, alrighty, so that we're clear on page 4, the signage. You have a proposal that the lettering, to re-letter that is gonna be $8,000?
Correct, that's what we have.
Okay.
We had a quote that we submitted, I think, for Fast Sign, I think it was Fast Signs.
Wow,
Wow.
okay. We can take it down and I can paint it and go get some lettering,
Right.
from Home Depot and.
8,000.
Okay.
That's all right.
All righty, you gotta have some levity every now and then, so, okay. All righty, so that we're clear. Anything else from staff and from the attorney before we take these one by one? Okay. All righty, so the applicant has requested, page 2, and we'll just go one at a time, that they give us payment in lieu of erecting the sidewalk, the signs. Right, and that was the big sign. So for clarity, the big storage sign that's in the middle of the building, right, is the sign that's in question, or no? Just want to make sure we're all clear.
None of the signs on
The-
storage rental proper.
Mhm. Okay,
are
all righty.
correct.
Okay.
This is an off-site sign.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we were clear for the record. Okay, and I think we sort of almost in principle agreed, or, no, that was for the sidewalk, I'm sorry. So what is your pleasure as it relates to that? We can just have consensus, then we can vote what we've decided thereafter for each item, then we'll vote it in total. Okay.
So they're gonna cut us a check and we can do it ourselves? That's a suggestion.
Right, here's the money, we don't want to
Yeah.
do it, you guys do it.
If it's 30,000, we'll take it.
All of this has been priced out, right? And so they'll give us the proposed amount, and so we'll, okay.
And what company that they got the price from?
I believe it was Fast Signs is where, is who did their other signage, and then they provided the quote.
Right, and we can get proposals as well.
Yeah, we
If
still
indeed
have
we-
to go through our procure.
Yes,
Okay.
if we think that what they're proposing came from a legitimate vendor, and the price was correct, then we can, in principle, agree tonight, and,
Okay.
okay. All righty, so how are we on that?
Yes, you
okay,
can take
McConnell?
the money.
And how are you, we're going to get consensus if we can, and then we'll vote it all in total for this item 2. Yes,
On
no?
item 2.
The signage. They're going to give us, they're proposing to give us
The
the money.
wording, or?
No, that's a different one. They're proposing, as it relates to the digital sign, that here's the money, you guys do it. We don't want to do it. are you agreeable to accept the money? Then we do it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Johnson?
30,000 sounds like a nice amount, yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
30,000 and, all right.
Yeah.
So, page 3, the sidewalk segment, and I think we agreed in principle. The attorney gave us some clarification that it would have to be earmarked and dedicated, and one of our line items that this is for the construction of a sidewalk.
And same thing for the signage that you just discussed.
Well,
Okay.
the only caveat I'd like to throw on this, and of course, council can decide this, the 7,500, that sounds a little bit low
That sounds
for the
low.
amount of sidewalk we're talking about. So if there's a way that we indeed price this out, you know, the next 3 or 4 months or whatnot, and it comes out to be more, you know,
Get the survey.
I think 75 seems a little bit low. I'm not in the business, but
Do we have from a company that stays for that linear foot, it would be,
That was the quoted number.
okay?
It's not for the new piece, the quote is for the piece that we are constructing.
Yes, or should be constructing. Right, and you have documentation of that?
I believe that we did in the packet. I can
It's okay, just for the record, just if you did. Now, what we could do, we can agree to Ken's point.
Survey.
Now, that came, and that was what, in 2 years ago or so?
This is, so I have the, it was an estimate from A Designs, general contractors from May 5th, 2026.
Okay, so it was relevant, recent, because I was going to say material costs have gone up, and, okay, but it's this year. Okay. All righty, so what we can do, agree to the 75, providing that, once we get our quote, that is amount 75 or less. Right, but if it comes out 8, would you be agreeable that whatever the present cost, and once we get our quote within the next week or 2 or 3, that,
I mean, if I say that and it comes back at 30, I can't agree that.
you want to give us an up to? Now, you're in the business, so you would know in terms of just increase in cost over a month, a week, and whatever the case may be. And if you feel that that's a legitimate, if,
Survey.
right, that's,
I can't spend his money.
right. Okay, so up to 10, okay. All righty?
Or just
That
do-
satisfies?
feels a little bit
Or
better.
just do a survey.
All righty. All right, so we start at the 75, and we're honest brokers. You guys have been really good tenants, and we appreciate it, right? So if it comes in at 55, then it's 55. Okay, right, so up to 10, okay.
No survey.
No, we have to do our work.
That's, yeah,
They're
I'm
just,
saying like we're gonna do a survey,
yeah,
right?
we have to do the whole thing and
Okay.
determine what it would cost to do that, and,
Right.
right,
Whatever location.
right.
Yeah, I'm just making
But
sure.
for that
I'm
linear
writing it.
foot, how much would it cost us to do that, wherever we're gonna do it?
10,000.
Up to 10,000. That's
Up
what they're
to?
arranging. Up to 10,000.
You're not saying 10,000.
Up to 10,000. Right. Their estimate is 7,500, right? And that's come from a
got it.
legitimate general
I'm just-
contractor, so,
Ask it.
okay. All righty. All right, so we have, yes?
Yes.
Okay, McConnell?
Yes.
Johnson? Okay. Righty, so we have consensus there, and the last is the signage on page 4. For the renaming of the Bryn Mawr. So at this point in time, what the applicant is proposing, because we're not clear, we're not certain exactly the language, so correct me if I misstate, would be to just begin the process by just putting "Welcome to Mangonia Park." And at a later point in time, then however we want to kind of massage the Bryn Mawr part of it, we do that unless we can agree in the next minute or 2.
Welcome to Mangonia Park, and then you can put Brent Mawr Small, like she said, because it's identifying the neighborhood.
Okay?
It should, 30,000, it should be more than enough.
Okay. All righty. Give me an estimate of what you would think to add Bryn Mawr in smaller letters, font probably, what, 32?
That quote's based on the
Oh.
image that you see on the proposed reface.
Uh-huh.
So if it's just switching, I don't anticipate any change
Hmm,
there.
okay, okay.
I think you're covered. However you want to reconfigure those letters.
Okay.
We're good.
All righty. So for tonight, so that we can,
Go home.
yeah. So it would be, so the refacing at this point in time would be "Welcome to Town of Mangonia Park." But then we can decide, you can talk with Ken, individually, then we come back collectively and figure out how we're going to massage the Bryn Mawr part of it. Okay? Is agreed? Okay, Councilman Johnson? I mean,
Johnson. Nope, not
Davis?
Johnson tonight.
Councilwoman
Davis
Davis?
tonight.
Yes, no?
Davis Quinn.
Okay, yes, no?
Okay, we can talk to him individually, Mr. Ken individually, and come back to the table and agree.
For the Bryn Mawr portion of it? Okay.
Yes, correct.
McConnell? Yes. Okay, Johnson. Okay. All righty, so with that, we do have consensus as it relates to the request. There is an ask on the part of the applicant. What is your pleasure as it relates to what we've discussed here tonight?
Can I just ask a question on number 3? So is the intent that the applicant is still going to make the modifications to the Bryn Mawr sign? Okay. Is there I would ask the council to think about a time frame, because what's going to happen tonight, should there be approval, is those conditions will be modified. The reason for this request, I think, is the applicant is requesting CO, so there needs to be some time frame for making that determination so that it can proceed forward.
So I would imagine that for the applicant, you want your CO, so you want this done as soon as possible. So within the next
30 days.
week, 2 weeks,
I don't know that we could, because we gotta get on their schedule, we gotta get the wording.
30 days.
30 days.
30 days?
Would there be a way that we could structure it so that it's a certain number of days post-CO issuance?
Amity?
That way, we could-
Schedule a CO has to follow the process.
Yeah, and the condition has to be met. So my preference would be that the council agree to a time frame to give the applicant direction so that they can then make the modifications and then request their CO.
Okay. 30 to 45 days? 30 days is sufficient, or you want a 30 to 45?
30 to 45 is generous. I'd say 45 days.
Okay, up to 45 days. Okay, so up to 45 days.
Yes.
Is that
And that's completion of the sign.
right? But within that time, of course, you still don't have your CO. So you'll move with all deliberate speed to get your CO. We understand, so, okay. So on our part, up to 45 days, but if you do it tomorrow, tomorrow. Okay, okay, okay. So with that, anything else we need clarification, Amity?
So I would just ask that the council, based on the discussion tonight, the conditions, so the ask before you is site plans, and because Josh's presentation has exhibits, I would ask that the council consider the revision to what was, a new resolution is going to be prepared, so the resolution that's in the backup is not what will be, that's not what's being approved, because there's been discussion tonight that needs to be reflected in that resolution. So condition 1, should there be an approval tonight, would be that the applicant agrees to contribute $30,000 to the town to construct and erect a digital monument sign on the west side of West Place at the location shown on the approved site plan.
Okay.
The second condition would be, based on the discussion that I've heard, and correct me, council, if I'm wrong, applicant agrees to contribute up to $10,000 for the sidewalk on South Place to the town, for the town to install sidewalk in another desired location. And then condition 3 would be the applicant shall modify the Bryn Mawr sign within 45 days of the resolution approval tonight.
And council has to get back to on the name.
But the only thing I would say to that is that we're asking for a credit of the total, so the total of the sidewalk and the digital sign, that the Bryn Mawr change would be credited to those other two.
I'm sorry, I forgot that. So the request is for the $8,000 to come off of the $40,000 total. So the applicant will be credited $8,000 for modifications to the Bryn Mawr sign, which will be completed by the applicant within 45 days of site plan modification approval.
Okay,
Is that amenable, Josh?
that's good, and that's agreed by the applicant's representative? Okay, great. Is there a motion that we approve, subject to the,
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. The only thing I would suggest, so that we make sure we did it on the record, was the condition number 2. That's the most recent. In my version, it says the applicant shall submit to the town a landscape plan showing the proposed wall to confirm no changes to approved landscaping to the wall installation. And it's actually, it's a fence back there. So it's actually a PVC opaque fence.
What document are you, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I ask him a question?
yes, yes, because I don't. I'm not sure if that was.
I think that's an
question.
error in the draft. Yeah,
Yeah.
that will not be in the,
Yeah, it's not in question for tonight, I was.
yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure I understood.
Oh, certainly. Right, okay, just, it's good that you brought it up, because I'm looking, and, okay. All righty, so an applicant's representative agrees to those 4 conditions. Okay, so noted for the record. So, if there's a motion for approval, subject to the applicant meeting these 4 conditions, let's,
And
we'll
Mr.
take
Mayor,
that
it's
now.
3 conditions, is that correct?
It's, so we got the 30 for the West Place, up to 10,000 for the sidewalk, modify the signs, then the $8,000 credit. back to
Okay.
him. So
I
we'll
did that
sort
as
of-
one.
So we'll separate it in.
You want it
You want
separated
to do and/or, or just separate it?
It could just be applicant shall be credited $8,000 for modification of the Bryn Mawr sign, which shall be completed within 45 days of the site plan modification approval. Does that,
Okay. Is there a motion to that?
Wait, how many days do we have to get with Mr. Ken in order to get the exact name that's going on the sign?
You can make your recommendations tomorrow, tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, so
'Cause
as soon as
I
you
know
can,
'cause he was
because
gonna
they
need-
have, they're on a clock.
Right,
as soon
that's
as
what
you
I'm
can.
saying.
Okay.
So we need to get it to Mr. Ken by tomorrow.
Or,
Or-
yeah, so we don't hold them up.
Right, that's
Then
what
it's
I'm
on our,
asking.
then it's on us.
So we should have it done by
As soon as you
tomorrow.
can.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
But
so-
now, not to confuse things, we've agreed to the welcome to Mangonia Park.
Park, we got
Okay,
that part.
yes.
Right.
Yes, and then Brent
Okay.
Mawr
And
at
that'll
the
begin
bottom.
as soon
And
as.
Brent Mawr at the bottom.
Right.
With
So-
that-
And so that we're clear,
That'll be that.
they won't be held up if we get to
I
the
see what-
deadline and we still haven't figured out how to massage that, right? That's on us.
Right, no, I know that, but I want to make the record
Mm-hmm.
clear that we need to say welcome to Mangonia Park. But then you're saying Brent Mawr, at the bottom, very small. Sheriff's like, no. But if you
Well-
put welcome to Mangonia Park,
Right, we're gonna figure out,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
we're
we
gonna
gotta talk
figure it
about
out,
that.
right,
That's the
how
best
we
way.
want the wording, if any wording at all. So
Okay.
we'll decide that, so we don't hold them up.
It's a work.
Yes, and it'll go, come through Ken, and Ken will
Yeah.
communicate, yes.
Okay.
So with that, is there a motion as it relates to the 3 conditions included in your motion?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
has been properly moved and second that we grant the applicant request as it relates to item G, understanding that a new resolution will be done, and also that the applicant has, for the record, agreed to the 3 conditions stated by the attorney. Okay, so with that, any questions on the motion?
No,
Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis Quinn.
yes,
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell.
Yes.
Mayor Albert.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty, with that, those are the last of our action items, and thank you guys so much for your patience. We
Yes,
really
thank
appreciate it, and thank you guys for being such good business partners here in town. We really appreciate it. Okay, so with that, we're gonna try and get through this. Ken has one item, so we're gonna get to our reports and take in one item.
Very quick.
Okay.
Saturday, August 1st, at the park, 11 to 1. Back to school bash. Next Tuesday, 6 PM, budget workshop, and next Thursday, week from this Thursday, the 30th, we're having the Community Issues Forum regarding the property tax referendum. Representative Edmonds has indicated that he will be here to speak on it, and I'm sure council wants to as well. So the word's getting out. We've had good response so far. So next Thursday at 6 PM here at Town Hall, and the budget workshop again next Tuesday, 6 PM here.
Okay,
And that's all I have. Briefly, I'd like to see the mayor and the attorney after the meeting, if I could, for maybe 5 minutes.
certainly. Okay. Alrighty, thanks so much. We have those here, and we'll be getting it sort of memorialized as well in a text and/or other communication as it relates to these 2 items. Okay, with that, we're going to go to PBSO. Anything?
I have nothing to report, but,
Okay.
put out a sign, I'll come up.
Uh-huh.
Put out a sign for lock your doors to your vehicles, try to get it off of,
Yes.
front Highline median.
So that-
Open display there. The gentleman that spoke, Dr. Green, on August 7th, this district, we hope
good.
in the, intervention will be out. Lieutenant Gelati manning it up, so we'll be out with him. So that was good information for the town, but
Great.
Gelati did set up a phenomenal presentation, so we'll have that from 11 to 7 on August 7th.
Okay, August 11th.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now let him know that only because you're here, he's allowed back in town.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Right, yes. Because we were not going to forgive him, but then you came along and yes, and made it all better, so. Okay, thanks. Okay, all righty, Amity, you have anything?
Just very briefly, I just wanted to report, I sent out to you, actually, I think it was last weekend, the governor vetoed the sovereign immunity bill at the 11th hour after my memo went out. I don't know if there was a delay on the website being updated, but that's good news for the town. That's, I think, the second or third year that that bill was before the legislature, so the sovereign immunity caps that exist today or existed prior to July 1st are still in effect with that governor's veto. So I just wanted to give you that update, and I sent you a memo to the same effect last weekend. And that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Any questions or comments for Amity?
Yes, while we're working on the Boardman area, the stoplight is broken and it's hanging, and it needs to be fixed. Because,
The stoplight at,
so the light itself is not broken, but the black trim around is broken in half and it's hanging. And it needs to be fixed, please. Thank you.
Okay, all righty, appreciate it. All righty. Those are your council comments. You have additional or?
That's it. I
Anything
said
else?
enough.
Okay, all righty. Okay, Councilwoman Johnson?
Nothing at this moment.
Okay, Councilman McConnell? Okay.
Nothing.
Thanks so much. And so we'll conclude by me just saying thank you guys so much for standing by and for your patience. And we had a lot to cover, and thank you so much for your participation. So with that, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, a motion for adjournment
So moved.
has been moved
Second.
and properly seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. Have a great evening, and we'll see you
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday, next Tuesday. Okay, have a great one.
Next year.
Officer?